indulging in random acts of violence. He's been making statements against Afghanistan, against Pakistan. He is not only that, he has actually gone on to sack some of the lieutenant generals and senior officers in Pakistan army who were slightly more rational. So there are dissensions within Pakistan army, and of course that's been very made very clear by the successes which Baloch Liberation Army has actually achieved.
That's why I said he's one of the most failed generals of Pakistan. One, the most popular leader was incarcerated. वही unpopular हो गए. फिर he didn't deserve to be army chief. He became army chief. He usurped somebody's position. Third, the Baloch have bajawed them. The Pakistani military. The Jafar Express is the biggest embarrassment. उससे पहले November last year also they had this entire, when they took over an entire city for 3 days. Then the Afghans, they are upset with him. The Sindhi, the Cholistan project has rendered him very, very unpopular again. That's his pet project, and he's accused of perhaps even siphoning off billions from that, making money off it. And now currently with what he's inflicted upon Pakistan. So, and 3 nights of reversals. एक तो आपने कहा हम तैयार हैं, आ जाओ, कोशिश करो, हमने 9 जगह ठोक दिया उनको, सारे टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ध्वस्त कर दिए. देन बोला हम आएंगे, जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे, सब फेल हो गए. फिर हमने उनके एडीएसएस को we've demolished in Pindi, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Sialkot. Then last night they tried again. And nothing has worked there. Nothing has worked. And we've countered there, and there is a huge amount of pummeling. We are waiting for the official briefing, but we are given to understand Pakistan has suffered huge reversals last night in the retaliation from Bharat based on the equal measure retaliation. उन्होंने 15 लोकेशन चूज किए हैं, हमने भी 15 लोकेशन में उनको काफी मारा है. They are not coming out and saying it, but we will claim, and perhaps there will be a briefing today for more details on what's happened last night. But right now, some more news coming through before we go back to General Kocher. We are learning from defense sources. At least 45 drones were taken down by the Army Air Defense itself. And this is between Ladakh to Bhuj. So military infrastructure in Leh was also targeted last night by Pakistan. No success from the length and breadth of such a long area, geographical space they've tried to cover. Akash joining us with more. Yes, Akash.
Anand, first of all, it is largely peaceful in the morning hours, so no need to panic. It is for the general public.
The general has unleashed.
See, firstly,
and also, since you understand and you are both of you well-read in military history, has any other Pakistan general has had such reversals and such a poor tenure other than the 1971 episode? So,
see,
is he one of Pakistan's most failed generals?
See, Pakistan and its military has had a very unique characteristic. Asim Munir should not have been the army chief. He should have retired. He's actually an usurper. He was actually brought in one day after his retirement.
So you've called him an usurper, but he's been nicknamed the deceiver. From his major days, he's been nicknamed the deceiver. There's a Pakistani former Fauji who sold us this. We'll put it out on the broadcast later. But yes, Hanji, please complete.
So he has actually been brought in by politicians for meeting their own specific requirements. His mindset was clearly revealed when he talked about two-nation theory, when he talked about religion, when he talked about faith. So this chap, he's not even from Pakistan Military Academy. So it's not that many people in Pakistan's army itself like him. But at the moment, he's in power, and the civilian government in Pakistan is totally dependent on him. In fact, he is responsible for ensuring that Shahbaz Sharif is in power. The fake elections, the fraud elections, which they actually inflicted on the people of Pakistan, were conducted under his watch. And he has continued to
Thank you for staying with us. Continuous coverage here, live and rolling on Operation Sindoor, which is still not over. Still not over. Till the time this war on terror is won, till the time all terror emanating from Pakistan is finished, Bharat is not going to rest. And till the time General Asim Munir and his ilk don't learn a lesson, Pakistan will be tormented, troubled, and brought to book and brought to account for all that they have inflicted upon us via this proxy war. The fact that the Pakistan state officially backs its terror tanzeems and uses them as their own instruments of a proxy warfare with the intent to bleed Bharat with 1,000 cuts is demonstrated in that one picture. It's not for nothing they say that pictures speak 1,000 words. A proscribed, US proscribed terrorist of the lashkar-e-taiba leading the funeral prayers for jihadis who are getting a state funeral attended by politicians and also military. That picture is enough to show that Pakistan is a terror state. Will Bharat officially start hyphenating Pakistan as a terror state? Till the time Pakistan withdraws all actions of terror against Bharat, that's the big question, and perhaps that offensive will continue till then. We've got our guests with us. Air Marshal Anil Khosla is with us. We've got Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur and also Edward Joseph with us. Thank you for staying on. The question on China. The one entity that will be watching what's going on and will also take note of 3 successive nights of reversals for the Pakistan military, Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, is China. When will they let go of the Pakistan military and the Pakistan military establishment and say you're on your own? Has that time come now? Because their HQ-9s have also failed, their J-17s have also failed. So in military parlance and on the military complex, industrial complex, Chinese equipment is not performing against French, Russian and American equipment. Sir, please.
A professional answer to that is the Chinese will not let go of Pakistan. That's for sure. And because the investment in Pakistan, besides the CPEC, is an adversary on our western border. Imagine if Pakistan was friendly with India, then you don't have to worry about one full border on your western border. So it's a leverage that they have, the Chinese have. Besides, as I said, the huge amount of investment in CPEC and Gwadar port that they have done. So I don't think the Chinese will ever let go. I mean, we are children of the 60s and we have seen them from 1960s. Pakistan has been their friend since then, and I see no reason why they will let go. We have to take this into account in all our plans. So despite what the media says, the fact remains that there is an existential type of threat to us on our western border, which will not go away. That's a fact. Okay. So we need to plan for that, and we will continue to plan for that. It's much more because when you talk of diplomacy, if it's India in Quad against sort of the United States, well, it's China having its own proxies also opposing the Quad. So this is a game that 2 sides play, which is factored in by the political establishment as well as the diplomatic establishment. They do their jobs. We as people in uniform do ours and follow orders.
But Air Marshal Khosla, the changing scenarios, 200 billion plus sunk in this BRI and CPEC going nowhere for the last 3-4 years. The Gwadar port actually in Balochistan, not Pakistan. These are all considerations the Chinese can have, and also their own issues, internal issues, real estate collapse, manufacturing, stops there, huge pile-ups for the Chinese, internal troubles, and of course this entire tariff war with the Trump administration. That's hurting the Chinese. Everybody is looking at China +1. So there are other dynamics too. Things are different from where they were in the 90s and 2000s to when they are after post-2020s and especially post-COVID, Air Marshal Khosla. So do these shifting dynamics, shifting sands also help Bharat somewhere, or do they force China's hands?
Definitely, what you brought out is China is having its own problems, its own troubles. China's troubles and China's stature and China's economic development as well as military power, I think he'll be able to deal with them much better as compared to Pakistan. the Pakistan problems which they have, and they don't have any backup to deal with those situations economically, militarily, or diplomatically. They're totally isolated. China, to my mind, has got still a lot of power left with him, and he'll be able to come out of it and maybe still continue growing for some time to come, unless the world really imposes a lot of restrictions on it. Now, coming to the event which is happening and the Chinese-Pak they call the friendship deeper than the sea and sweeter than the honey and whatnot. It's a marriage of convenience, actually. And you brought out that China, will be watching this. Absolutely. China will be watching very, very closely. And China, most of the military equipment is Chinese. And they'll be watching what is the performance of their equipment as compared to the Western and other equipment. They will be giving covert or overt support to Pakistan as usual, diplomatic support. They have already been giving. So China's involvement in this, but the Chinese are smart. They will not get actively involved in the process, but in the background, they will be having a big, big role in the whole event.
Edward, your thoughts on the China factor?
On that, I would say I heard nothing from the previous speaker here that I think anyone would dispute. That was a very reasonable assessment of the role of the Chinese, and we should, when we consider Chinese interests and American interests, and obviously the Indian and Pakistani interests here, we should remember that China has its own terrorism concerns and its own terrorism problems. So China has to also weigh that in here. And again, what I pointed out here before, and soon, if you'll permit me, sir, I'm going to wish you all a good night. It's nighttime here in the United States. But what I mentioned before, that ironically here, Pakistan is a very significant victim of terrorism. They're having a dramatic increase in over 2024, over 1,000 fatalities in Pakistan from terrorism. This is an increase of almost 50% from the year before. So, and this is a very serious and dangerous problem. We, of course, experience this in the United States. We see this elsewhere in the world, this phenomenon. It's extremely dangerous. And of course, this conflict is extremely dangerous with both countries having nuclear weapons. And I would just say this here, a couple points here in closing, that if either side were to deploy nuclear weapons, this would just be absolutely a dramatic shift, and in my view, a severe mistake. And we've seen that in the Russia-Ukraine context, and we've seen so far, thankfully, reluctance on the part of Russia to utilize nuclear weapons, and it would just be a dramatic, severe change in dynamics for either country to be the first one to introduce nuclear weapons. And finally, I just close to not we understand. India, as I said, remains extremely important in American eyes. That doesn't mean, of course, that U.S. has no interest in Pakistan. The U.S. has interests in maintaining a good and open relationship with Pakistan. The point that Vance was making, this is very important to understand. The point that Vice President Vance was making is not that the U.S. has no interest in this. He repeated it. He repeated very clearly what President Trump had said and what Secretary Rubio said, that the U.S. wants to see de-escalation. Vice President Vance repeated that. It's that what Vance said, the U.S. is not rushing to jump into the middle of this as to intervene in some fashion. I would imagine, though, if the situation were such, or if Delhi or Islamabad sought U.S. mediation, that I believe it would be forthcoming. I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, and have a good night's sleep. Be rest assured, Bharat is never going to get into the nuclear option. Bharat has huge amount of responsibility, and it enshrines, nuclear deterrence is enshrined in its entire doctrine. So that's not the problem. The entity you cannot trust is that crazy general on the other side. So that's where the problem lies. Thank you very much, Edward. Good night. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Air
Thank you
Marshals,
very much.
I thank you too for your time. Yes, sir. Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, you wanted to make a point. Yes, please.
I was about to say that I too need to leave.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you very much. I thank our guests. Let's go across to news coming through and let's pick up the pace. Before we read out the news, just an update coming in from the MEA. There is no briefing at 10 a.m. If viewers are getting it from other platforms who are sending that's not happening, there's no meeting at 10 a.m. There is a press briefing. When it will be, you will hear it first at CNN News 18, the correct time. That's all we can tell you, but there is a briefing scheduled for today. Now, more news. The Pharma Doctors Association has asked medical services to be on standby and hold blood donation camps. Yesha Kotak is joining us with more details. Yes, Yesha.
Absolutely, Anand. In fact, only doctors who are part of the Federation of All India Medical Association have been given instructions about being prepared for any kind of an emergency and be responsive in case of a disaster. In fact, apart from that, they've also been asked to have a coordinated system in place with local authorities. This instruction has been given for doctors across the entire country. Apart from that, like you mentioned, they've also been asked to organize nationwide blood donation camps, particularly in the wake of this escalating border tension. This is because, of course, we've seen that there have been several injuries which have been reported from Jammu and Kashmir so far, and which is when it comes to summer months, it is mostly associations which face the crunch of having excess blood in their banks, and which is why now blood donation camps have also been asked to be organized across the entire country, so as to be prepared in case of any eventuality. But apart from that, we've also seen how the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has also postponed the examination for CA, which was to be held on 9th and 14th of May. Yes.
So that's what they have done is that the examinations, the intermediate and post qualification course examinations, International Taxation Assessment Test (INTT-AT), May 2025 from 9th to 14th of May stand postponed. The revised dates will be announced in due course. This is from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, as Yesha was just mentioning. The pharma doctors have now come out and said that we would like to run blood donation camps. Anybody and everybody in that area, in that region, if you're able and if you can, please go ahead and donate blood. We will require it. At some point in time, there are already many who are facing grievous injuries and also some who have minor injuries. There will be others who will be ailing. It will always help if you can step up and donate blood, especially along the areas on the western border and along the line of control. We'll also try and see if we can get you. Yesha, thank you for your inputs. We'll try and get you. There is the other non-kinetic offensive, waters. So the tap was off all this while. Now some taps are going on. The Baghliyar Dam gates, sluice gates are opening. We'll get you those visuals when we come back after a break. Stay with us.
उस फिल्म में
General has unleashed.
See, firstly,
and also, since you understand and you are both of you well read in military history, has any other Pakistan general has had such reversals and such a poor tenure other than the 1971 episode? So,
see,
is he one of Pakistan's most failed generals?
See, Pakistan and its military has had a very unique characteristic. Asim Munir should not have been the army chief. He should have retired. He's actually an usurper. He was actually brought in one day after his retirement.
So you've called him an usurper, but he's been nicknamed the deceiver. From his major days, he's been nicknamed the deceiver. There's a Pakistani former Fauji who sold us this. We'll put it out on the broadcast later. But yes, Hanji, please complete.
So he has actually been brought in by politicians for meeting their own specific requirements. His mindset was clearly revealed when he talked about two-nation theory, when he talked about religion, when he talked about faith. So this chap, he's not even from Pakistan Military Academy. So it's not that many people in Pakistan's army itself like him. But at the moment, he's in power and the civilian government in Pakistan is totally dependent on him. In fact, he is responsible for ensuring that Shahbaz Sharif is in power. The fake elections, the fraud elections, which they actually inflicted on the people of Pakistan, were conducted under his watch. And he has continued to patronized terrorism, which was very clearly evident with the presence of large scale army personnel at the funeral of these jihadi terrorists, and the way he has been acting since taking over. He has
जी
not only been indulging in random acts of violence, he has been making statements against Afghanistan, against Pakistan. He is not only that, he has actually gone on to sack some of the lieutenant generals and senior officers in Pakistan army who were slightly
ये उड़ी सेक्टर की तस्वीरें हैं और लगातार हमने रात भर विटनेस किया। यहाँ पे हम भी एक आई विटनेस अकाउंट अगर शेयर करेंगे आपके साथ, तो रात जो गुजरी है काफी भयानक थी, काफी खौफजदा यहाँ के लोग हैं, काफी दहशत फैला हुआ है लोगों में। और ये पाकिस्तान की सीज फायर वायलेशन का नतीजा है जो आप विजुअल्स में देख रहे हैं। और लगातार जो हाजीपीर सेक्टर है या फिर सलामाबाद उड़ी सेक्टर है, तो वहां से तीन तरफा से पाकिस्तान ने आर्टिलरी शेलिंग की। यहाँ तक ये भी कहा जा रहा है सोर्सेज की स्निपर्स को भी यूज किया गया, और जिसके नतीजे में जो कल तक ये लगामा गांव जहां पर हम मौजूद है, ये हंसता खेलता गांव हमें कल तक नजर आ रहा था, लेकिन इस वक्त रातों रात ये तबाही का मंजर जो है बयान कर रहा है। और ये दुकानें हैं, ये मकान है जो डैमेज हो चुके हैं, और आप देख सकते हैं कि किस कदर शेलिंग भयानक थी। और इन तस्वीरों से अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है ये टीन जो है, टीन के जो रूफ शीट्स है, टीन शीट्स, और देख सकते हैं आप कि किस तरह की हालत हुई है और किस तरह से शेलिंग जो है इसकी शिद्दत क्या थी। और यहाँ के लोगों की अगर बात करेंगे तो उनसे हमारी बात हुई लगातार, तो उनका ये कहना है कि 1998 में जो सीज फायर वायलेशंस हुआ करती थी उसकी वजह से लोग जो है काफी परेशान थे, और वो आज तक यहाँ के लोग नहीं भूले हैं। लेकिन आज जो शेलिंग हुई है, आज जो आर्टिलरी फायरिंग की गई है पाकिस्तान की तरफ से, 1998 का भी रिकॉर्ड जो है वो टूट गया है। और लगातार हम देख रहे हैं कि किस तरह ग्राउंड सिचुएशन जो है, किस तरह तबाही के मनाजिर जो है वो बयान कर रहे हैं, और इसकी वजह से काफी लोग जो है वो जख्मी हुए हैं। सलामाबाद की बात करेंगे, कालगी की बात करेंगे, या लगामा एरिया जहां पर हम मौजूद है इसकी बात करेंगे, तो यहां पर एक जो महिला है उसकी भी मौत हुई है। उड़ी के मुख्तलिफ इलाकों में लोग जो है घायल हुए हैं, और घायल अवस्था में उनको बारामूला हॉस्पिटल जो है वहां पहुंचाया गया। और रात भर हमने देखा, सिचुएशन को मॉनिटर किया, और काफी दहशत भरी रात थी जो लफ्जों में बयान नहीं किया जा सकता है।
general has unleashed.
see, firstly,
And also, since you understand and you are both of you well read in military history, has any other Pakistan general has had such reversals and such a poor tenure other than the 1971 episode? So
see,
is he one of Pakistan's most failed generals?
See, Pakistan and its military has had a very unique characteristic. Asim Munir should not have been the army chief. He should have retired. He's actually an usurper. He was actually brought in one day after his retirement.
So you've called him an usurper, but he's been nicknamed the deceiver. From his major days, he's been nicknamed the deceiver. There's a Pakistani former Fauji who sold us this. We'll put it out on the broadcast later. But yes, Hanji, please complete.
So he has actually been brought in by politicians for meeting their own specific requirements. His mindset was clearly revealed when he talked about two-nation theory, when he talked about religion, when he talked about faith. So this chap, he's not even from Pakistan Military Academy. So it's not that many people in Pakistan's army itself like him. But at the moment he's in power, and the civilian government in Pakistan is totally dependent on him. In fact, he is responsible for ensuring that Shahbaz Sharif is in power. The fake elections, the fraud elections, which they actually inflicted on the people of Pakistan, were conducted under his watch. And he has continued to patronize terrorism, which was very clearly evident with the presence of large-scale army personnel at the funeral of these jihadi terrorists, and the way he has been acting since taking over. He has
जी.
not only been indulging in random acts of violence, he has been making statements against Afghanistan, against Pakistan. He is not only that, he has actually gone on to sack some of the lieutenant generals and senior officers in Pakistan army who were slightly more rational. So there are dissensions within Pakistan army, and of course that's been made very clear by the successes which Baloch Liberation Army has actually achieved.
That's why I said he's one of the most failed generals of Pakistan. One, the most popular leader was incarcerated. वहीं unpopular हो गए. फिर he didn't deserve to be army chief. He became army chief. He usurped somebody's position. Third, the Baloch have bajawed them. The Pakistani military. The Jafar Express is the biggest embarrassment. उससे पहले November last year also they had this entire, when they took over an entire city for 3 days. Then the Afghans, they are upset with him. The Sindhi, the Cholistan project has rendered him very, very unpopular again. That's his pet project, and he's accused of perhaps even... Namaste, Jai Hind, and thank you for staying with us here at CNN News 18 on our continuous and rolling coverage on Operation Sindoor. Post the Pahalgam massacre, Bharat has said enough is enough. Prime Minister Narendra Modi promised a war on terror, especially terror emanating from Pakistan, where he promised to identify, track, punish. A whole of government approach is being witnessed, where Bharat, via Operation Sindoor, only targeted terror infrastructure. But the Pakistan military and Pakistan state have come and targeted Bharat's military installations not once but twice. So it's a military response for a counter-terrorism measure that automatically hyphenates Pakistan as a terror state. Bharat is building up to that. As we get you pictures, things are under control. Bharat has been able to negate any effort to try and attack any military or otherwise installations across the western border, from Leh to Uri to all the way down in Bhuj and Jaisalmer, so Gujarat and also Rajasthan. There have been multiple attempts across 15 to 17 locations which have been thwarted ably by the defense systems that we put in place. Our armed forces are on the vigil. Our forces are awake. Our forces are not just guarding the territory but also the skies, and doing it in such a way that not a single projectile or loitering munition fired by the Pak military has been able to find its target. It's not even able to land. It's been neutralized in the air. That's the capabilities that Bharat has. We are strong, we are able, and we will punish those who are backing terror, and we will punish the entire AKA system of terror. That's the message that Bharat has woken up to this Friday morning. Let's try and get you up to speed on the developments so far from the intervening night of 8th and 9th of May till 9 a.m. this morning. After Pakistan violates ceasefire along the LoC, Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah is all set to visit Jammu, Rajouri and Poonch, where there's been cross-firing even across the international border. He'll take a stock of situation and assess the damage done due to Pakistan's incessant artillery shelling. Fresh shelling has also taken place in Uri. The shelling has taken place in civilian areas. There has been another death. An old lady has died. 3-4 people have also been injured, and locals are trying to move away from the shelling areas. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India has postponed the CA examinations that were scheduled to take place between the 9th and the 14th of May. The revised dates will be announced soon. Federation of All India Medical Association, or FIMA, has called medical professionals to remain on standby and organize blood donation camps to ensure medical needs for the armed forces personnel and civilians during these escalated times are met. Ministry of External Affairs is set to brief the media today, so it will be a joint briefing as we've seen so far. But and this will be the third press briefing by the government within 3 days. The time of this briefing has not yet been updated. The Indian Army has released a statement on last night's strikes. The statement says that the Pakistan Armed Forces launched multiple attacks using drones and other munitions along the entire western border on the intervening night of 8th and 9th of May. Pak troops also resorted to numerous ceasefire violations along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. The drone attacks were effectively repulsed and befitting reply was given to the ceasefire violations. Jammu and Kashmir LG Manoj Sinha will be visiting Uri to take stock of the situation that has arisen due to heavy Pak shelling from the Pak side. Locals say since 1998 they have not seen such kind of shelling. But Bharatiya forces are responding in equal and far more punitive measure. Let's go across to our guests. Before that, let's go across to our reporters. Our reporters are on ground. The News 18 network team of reporters has been working tirelessly to get our viewers correct, verified and reliable news. And we are proud of the coverage that we've been able to bring to you because we've been able to keep it factual. Thanks to our entire team of reporters and, of course, those working tirelessly at the back end. Let's go across first to Arunima with the latest on what's happening in the South Block. Arunima, you have an update that the 3 service chiefs are there to brief the Raksha Mantri.
Yes, we're told that tentatively around 9:30, the tri-service chiefs, along with the CDS, they're going to brief the Raksha Mantri about the overnight situation. They have been obviously keeping the line going all over last night because situation was quite tense. Yesterday afternoon also, India responded effectively in Lahore, in Rawalpindi, in Karachi, and then Pakistan's misadventure started overnight. They were all foiled. There were at least 8 missiles that were taken down. There are unconfirmed reports about Pakistani aircrafts also. But amidst all of this, the tri-service chiefs are going to meet Raksha Mantri. Operation Sindoor is very much on. We're also being told that Home Minister is likely to meet, the DGs of all border guarding paramilitary forces. He had a call last night with BSF DG and CISF DG. He's also been keeping the line going with the DGPs of all the border states because situation is quite tense after what happened in Jaisalmer in Rajasthan, Bhuj in Kutch of Gujarat, Punjab, Pathankot, we know Jammu and Srinagar were on fire. The entire LoC and international border was on fire. So what is it being done to keep the civilians safe? That's the mandate that the Home Minister is keeping, while Raksha Mantri and the tri-service chiefs are ensuring that the military has a free hand in taking on Pakistan. I think we are also possibly looking at, even though I'm waiting for that confirmation, but
Right.
possibly after Raksha Mantri's briefing, Raksha Mantri, NSA and Home Minister could meet the PM again.
So there could be another round of meeting at the highest levels of government. Arunima, that's what you're telling us. We'll come back to you in a bit. Akash is also with us. Ishan is also with us. Our reporters on the move, both Akash and Ishan, trying to cover the length and breadth of Jammu and Kashmir and those regions along the international border and the line of control. Anshul is also there. He is in Pathankot. Akash, so the Raksha Mantri is going to take stock. There is going to be a joint briefing, so the MOD has to now calibrate what's happened through the night of 8th and 9th. So all reporters are on screen, but yes, Akash, you're on the move. So where are you heading to and what do you see around you? And take us through what's expected from the MOD aspect or the defense aspect.
Right. So Anand, I'm moving towards Jammu. It is all peaceful here, and thanks to our armed forces that all of those attempts were thwarted last night. It's all peaceful. Rajesh Bhardwaj will in fact show you the road. There you have normal vehicular movement as well. So there is no panic, and thankfully, people are continuing their, work as per their routine. Also, as far as this meeting is concerned, as Raksha Mantri is all set to, meet 3 service chiefs and also CDS, Anand, what I have been told is that IDS has taken a command. We still don't have theatre commands, here in the country. We know that how integrated efforts are there. We know our armed forces are working. But now IDS has also taken command, and that's the reason why the role of CDS would become very important. In terms of
can you explain to our viewers? CDS is the Chief of Defence Staff, but what is IDS? Can you explain the contours in a bit of detail for our viewers?
Right.
Yeah.
So IDS is Integrated Defence Staff. When we talk about IDS, so the whole idea is to have an integrated effort, by the armed forces in any sort of contingency. India has been working on integration of these armed forces. In fact, we have been working on theaterization, where we can have different theaters, and rather than any singular force, any army, air force or navy, we will have a combined command where one officer can lead all three forces in a particular theater. Though, we don't have any operational theater as of now as far as these borders are concerned, but these efforts are somewhere showing that forces are already working, in an integrated manner, because we have seen that how both Indian Army and Air Force have thwarted the attempts. In fact, when we talk about IDS, so we have been told that all the information flow or, the coordination will be taken care of by the IDS now. And that's why CDS, the role of CDS would become very important. CDS is someone who heads the Department of Military Affairs, and DMA is, a department that coordinates between these armed forces. So now armed forces, are working jointly. A jointness is something that is very much seen. Now coming to the aspects of different weapons and the sort of attack that was seen last night.
No, we'll come to that.
Leh Ladakh to
I'll come to the breakup of what was used to defend our skies and what kind of defense systems in a bit. But just taking from what Arunima has just said, that the three service chiefs and the CDS will be meeting the Raksha Mantri, and you're saying the IDS has taken command. So there is an integrated defense staff. So clearly action theaters were going to be built: Western Theatre, Western Command, the Central Command or Southern Command, and also the Eastern Command. So three theatres were supposed to be there, where all the wings of the armed forces would be integrated. But there is an integrated defense staff that's already taking shape, is what Akash is telling us, and he explained the contours. Just going to Ishan, and then I'll come back to you, Arunima and Akash, and we'll try and talk about how we defended the skies. Ishan, you've seen some of those places on ground. Uri, Tangdar, these are all regions which are where the Dushman, if I may say, or the enemy has a vantage point, because they are on the heights. And that's where the locals, the civilians, are facing the brunt of Pakistani artillery action, along with what is happening in Punch. Whereabouts are you, and what's the update? Has there been fresh ceasefire violations post daybreak?
Well, absolutely. There has been fresh ceasefire violation, at least in Uri, where gunfire and artillery shelling can be heard. Locals are still reporting that there is shelling going on at those locations along the line of control, and civilian areas have been badly hit. When I say badly, Anand, it means that houses have been hit, residential houses have been hit, not only in Uri but also in Kupwara, where Tangdar, we're getting images and pictures of houses being damaged, heavily damaged, and a lot of people have now started even to move out of those areas. Though the government had already moved some families, had kept arrangements for them, but now people are seriously thinking, considering the fact that what happened last night, some of them are telling us they haven't seen it in last 2 to 3 decades. The sort of shelling that took place, the sort of intensity at which the shelling was coming is unprecedented. There have been vehicles who have also been damaged. Even in Poonch and Rajouri, there was an intense shelling that took place during the night time. There was heightened activity that took place, particularly towards the air, and there was a lot of commotion that we witnessed. There was dark at night, blackout in Srinagar, in Jammu. Every place was like that. We're heading into Uri to see for ourselves the sort of damage that has been inflicted by Pakistan shelling, particularly towards the civilian areas. The army has given a befitting response. Chief Minister is going on the ground. The Lieutenant Governor will also be in Uri to assess the damage and the situation and how things are panning out in terms of the medical aid, in terms of the facilities, in terms of the vehicles kept there for the movement of those civilians who feel trapped in the middle of the shelling.
Right. Try and see if you can go up to Salamabad in the Uri district, because that's closer to the LoC, and there's been huge amount of damage that's been inflicted by the Pakistan guns. And those pictures, viewers, is the result of the Pakistan artillery, incessant artillery. It's about just taking and aiming and firing randomly without any care that it's landing on civilian homes, on innocents, which is again a war crime. It's a trespassing of the basic guidelines or principles of conflict or war. Going back to Arunima and Akash, on the IDS aspect, how do the para come in? Because Arunima, you track the para. Is there a possible meeting between the Home Minister, the Defence Minister, the NSA, all of them, and them briefing the Raksha Mantri collectively in the presence of the CDS? Is that a possibility? And when it comes to an IDS, do the para also come into play, like the BSF, the ITBP, the SSB, CAPF? Yeah.
See, Border Security Force, Anand, is already working under the command of the Indian Army. On the line of control, it's the Indian Army which is at the front line, but BSF is also working within the command of Indian Army. So when you ask whether under the IDS, BSF will also part of the command because they're already under the Army, effectively, yes. But essentially, IDS would mean a joint command of the three services, the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Army, of course. Now, when you ask whether the string of meetings, briefing of the Prime Minister will continue, very, very high possibility because the situation as it is unfolding is very fluid. We all know what has happened overnight, but thankfully by this morning, I mean post midnight, we have not seen any misadventure on the part of Pakistan, nothing that has been made public as yet by official handle of ADGPI. And this morning also, the reports that are coming in from Jaisalmer and from Gujarat, from Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir is nothing this morning ever since daybreak has happened.
Yes.
Even though the Indian Air Force is not yet confirming, I must tell you that Jaisalmer's district administration is giving us an indication about a possible pilot from Pakistan. If indeed this is true, then there's also that leverage that India has. And that
I would just like to tell you, Arunima, we had Bhavani joining us from Jaisalmer, and Bhavani was very clear that there is no confirmation of the same so far from the forces or from the local command there. Whether there has been an F-16 downed or whether a Pakistani pilot has been captured alive, there has been no confirmation of the same. So we're going to stay with that because Bhavani is on ground, so we'll stick with that till there is any confirmation otherwise. So that's what we will do because the rest then becomes conjecture. But like you said, that this is a situation that's fluid, and clearly the Pak military and Pak establishment has decided to escalate the situation. They are not wanting to tone down the entire bluster. So clearly Bharat will have to recalibrate and be ready for perhaps taking it a notch up and telling them that you can keep raising the decibels, we'll only hit you back harder and louder. Akash, the fact that it was all firecrackers in the sky, it was unnerving for the people. A lot of explosions through the night. A lot of people watching on TV also got a little worried. But the most important aspect is not a single projectile landed on the intended target. They were all neutralized in the skies itself. How did that happen? We talked about the MR SAMs, we talked about the Akash, and we also talked about S-400 all through the 8th. But on the 9th, there are some new dynamics also that have come into play.
Right. So, Anand, air defense, is one crucial aspect of any sort of war, especially in the current times. We have seen Russia-Ukraine, where air defense is playing a major role, and we have seen the Israel-Gaza as well. Though the nature of both the conflicts or the war, is different. But in Indian context, this is very important given the fact that this is not a full-fledged war, and it started, with, India avenging what happened on 22nd of April in Pahalgam, then Pakistan retaliating to it, and then, India giving it back. We have categorically mentioned that we don't want any escalation. In all those two press conferences and in fact the communication that is there on social media, it has been categorically mentioned. Our External Affairs Minister, is in fact, talking to the international community and in fact the heads of the states that how we don't want any escalation. But if, they will try to attack us, then we'll give a befitting reply. Last night when, the attempt to destroy our air defense was thwarted, yesterday morning, we in fact destroyed their air defenses, and in fact, as Arunima was pointing out, there are different cities were hit. No civilian target, but yes, the air defense and the air radars. Now, when they tried, our air defense was in play, and in any war-like situation, Anand, I was mentioning it earlier. Air Force is the force that takes command of the air defense, the entire air defense. Indian Army has got one AAD unit, that is Army Air Defense Corps. We have officers, we have got weapons for it, we have AD weapons, we have in fact MRSAMs for that. But Indian Army is responsible for their their infrastructure, their units, and in fact they are there for the tactical deployment. As far as air defense is concerned, in this particular case, what we saw was an integrated effort, where in fact in Leh, where I was told that in fact the core headquarter there in Leh was targeted, a drone was sent there. The L70 guns in fact played a major role. These are the guns that were integrated with anti-drone systems and the technologies just a few years back, if I'm not wrong. These guns were upgraded, and then we had these multiple air defense guns for Indian Army. Akash is of course with Army as well, and there is an integrated command with Air Force that was in fact taking a call as far as Akash Air Defense, Akash Tir, which is, and also S-400 is concerned.
Right.
For drones, Akash played an important role because it was able to in fact detect and engage the targets before before these drones are hitting the actual target. So it was a success for Indian Armed Forces. And they were able to thwart all of these attempts. We don't have even a single report, Anand, where we are learning about any sort of destruction, damage, or the claims that Pakistani social media handles are making. At this point in time, we know about the sort of action that Indian Armed Forces have taken, in reply to what happened last night at around 8 p.m. starting from Jammu airport and the nearby areas. But we are, in fact, we will wait for the official, press conference where details would be out, and in fact, we'll get to know as to what was the kind of reply that Indian Armed Forces have given.
Well, thank you for that comprehensive explanation. We'll try and also put it out into visual graphics for our viewers in some time. It's all happening as we speak. It's continuous live rolling coverage. Our teams are also working round the clock at the back end to get you the latest, authentic, verified information here on the News 18 network, especially on CNN News 18. Plus, please subscribe or sign in, follow the PIB India or PIB fact check handles on X, because the Press Information Bureau is also working tirelessly to try and quell a lot of disinformation that's being peddled by Pakistan. There was a devious attempt, viewers, before we go across to the next development, devious attempt by the Pakistanis to work along with the Khalistanis, their own puppets, to try and create an atmosphere that the Pakistani military will target Amritsar and perhaps the Harmandir Sahib there and blame it on Bharat to say, see, Bharat has now attacked Gurdwara and Harmandir Sahib, and create this entire misinformation, disinformation campaign and a lopsided narrative on social media. All of that was quelled because of these air defense systems that neutralized, and we've got visual proof that the drones and the firing and the projectiles were coming from across the international border. It was the Pakistanis who were doing this. They also bombed and they also attacked Gurdwara and Punch. They killed 4 Panthis. They've injured young Sikh children, women, and this is the brutality they have pushed. They just don't care. These are brutes who stand with jihadis. This is a jihadi mujahideen backer Pakistan military and a Pakistan state. And Bharat is now going to brand them terror state Pakistan in front of the world. Whether the hyphenation happens officially, we'll have to wait and watch. But clearly, Asim Munir's escalation is not going to go unpunished. The other thing is, go back to Pakistan's political and military history and barring 1971, name a general who's failed so many times and he's been such a big failure. Hope the Pakistanis wake up to this. More news coming through here. Fresh visuals of ceasefire violation from Pakistan side along the line of control. This is in the Digwar sector of Punj. The Indian Army is retaliating effectively and very, very strongly. But from the Pakistani guns, there has been damage to civilian areas. And Punch has borne quite the brunt of it between 7th, 8th and 9th. Tejinder Sodhi joins us with more. Yes, Tejinder.
Anand, you see, Pakistan has been continuously targeting the civilian population, and this time they are using the Chinese-made SH-15 self-propelled Howitzer guns, which are made by China's Norinco, and they are being used by the Pakistan Army to target the civilian population. These guns they, have an extended range, so they are being used to target the civilian population in Punch, in Uri, and in other parts of Jammu and Kashmir along the line of control. Though the Indian Army is giving a befitting response to Pakistan, but there has been civilian casualties. One woman has lost her life in Uri, 3 others have been injured in Punch. One civilian has been killed in the Pakistani aggression. So Pakistan continues to violate the ceasefire along the line of control. There was another incident of cross-border firing in the Samba sector, wherein the border security force foiled a major infiltration bid from across the border. Several terrorists who were attempting to infiltrate into the Indian side, they were also eliminated by the border security force. So the situation along the entire stretch of line of control in Jammu and Kashmir remains tense. There has been several incidents of ceasefire violation in the Karna Keran sector of Kupwara district, but yes, the Indian army is paying in an equal caliber to Pakistan. The retaliation is on. There has been firing going on in several locations in Punch, Rajouri right now as we speak. In Digwar sector, Pakistan once again targeted the civilian population, but the Indian army is right now responding in an equitable manner to the Pakistani aggression. Yes, Anand.
Well, thank you for that update, Tejinder. Stay safe. There has been a lot of pounding that Jammu region also and Jammu city has endured, and but it's all been thwarted. It's been thwarted by our defense systems and our mechanism. Lieutenant Colonel Atul Holkar is with us. Geopolitical expert is joining us. We also have Group Captain MJ Augustine Vinod with us at this point, and we will also be joined by Major General Indrabalan, Kargil war veteran and also currently military technology advisor. We'll go across to all of them, but let's just quickly understand what are the non-kinetic offensives that Bharat is already undertaking. The tap is on, so the dams are opening. We'll get you those pictures also. That's fresh trouble, which the Pakistanis don't seem to have accounted for with the Indus Water Treaty being put in abeyance. But along with that, there is a financial offensive. Now, this is the financial offensive. New Delhi has put in motion a plan to isolate Pakistan globally and not just at the UN Security Council. Now, India could take this fight to the International Monetary Fund, and whose bailouts are key to keep Pakistan afloat. There is a $1 billion release that is scheduled on the 9th, that is today, and Pakistan is going to have that meeting. So there is going to be a meeting in a short while from now at 9:30, where Bharat is going to very aggressively tell the IMF, look where your money is going, look what they are doing, and don't give them any more money. Don't do this. The other part is the FATF blacklisting. The FATF blacklisting, Pakistan, let's try and understand this. In the last 5 years, Pakistan has received several IMF bailouts and doles. A $6 billion loan under the extended fund facility was given to Pakistan in 2019. A $3 billion standby arrangement was agreed upon in 2023 when Pakistan had emerged out of the FATF grey list in 2022. Now, their political crisis compounded with an economic downturn and drove this nation into a debt burden to terminal levels. Now, last year, a $6 billion loan was approved in September, and just last month the IMF reached an agreement with Pakistan on a new $1.3 billion loan program and reviewed an existing bailout. Now, if approved, this would unlock an additional $1 billion for Pakistan in funding. The FATF grey listing will stop any of this funding to be used and any further resources, and also Pakistan's ability to raise any money internationally. So there are two aspects. One is stop this $1.3 billion bailout, and the other one is push for Pakistan to return back into the FATF grey list, if not blacklist. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more. Pallavi, the external debt of Pakistan is to a level that Pakistan as a nation can never chukao. It's an endless bucket. Can Bharat stop any more money being put into that bucket? Because that money is being drawn towards terror and jihadis and state funerals for jihadis.
You know, Anand, there's plenty which we have to provide evidence to the world, and they're called multilateral development banks, or the MDBs. So what the MDBs include are, of course, the IMF, there's World Bank, there's the EDB. Now, countries like Pakistan depend a lot on this aid because their own economy is not generating much of revenue. And, you know, they say that we have, for example, road infrastructure, colleges, hospitals, you know, those kind of infrastructural developments does require money coming in from these MDBs. And that is what India has been offering evidence to show that this is the money you're giving them, supposedly for infrastructural development. But what is really happening is that money is now being diverted to fund the school of terror. And what India has been saying, and which I think they're going to say it once again today, is that, mind you, this school of terror is not limited just to India. The problem is that whether you're talking about bomb blasts or, for example, the London Bridge blast, or you talk about the Moscow theatre blast, all of them can be tracked down to some way or the other to Pakistan, because Pakistan has an entire network with, say, Hamas and other terrorist organizations. So it's not just about India. You have to cut off this kind of a lifeline to Pakistan to ensure that terrorism across the world, all the archives of terrorism face so much of trouble that they don't have any lifeline to survive. After all, if you don't have money, where are you going to keep your terror hideouts or units ready and thriving? So that is the pitch which is going to be put forward by India. Even as we speak, very shortly, the Internal Finance Ministry meeting is going to begin. The Department of Revenue is the nodal department, because Financial Action Task Force, or the FATF as it's called, 1989 it was set up, Anand, to deal specifically with money laundering.
Pallavi, even as we speak, look what Reuters is citing. It's citing the Pakistan government saying, we urge international partners to support de-escalation amid escalating war and the collapse of our stock markets. We appeal to international partners to provide more loans after the heavy losses caused by India's retaliation. Look at their narrative. The whole story is Pahalgam massacre happened and then Operation Sindoor happened. It's the Pak military that resorted to escalation. Can India convince the international fraternity, look who's the villain here?
See, Anand, when the entire narrative, which is again going to be pushed by Pakistan whenever those meetings start beginning, is that, look, we have not indulged in any war of terror. It is India which is warmongering. In fact, India, you believe it or not, India should be put on the grey list and India should be held accountable. And because of this warmongering and needless provocation coming in from India, our economy is in shreds. So why should the poor people of Pakistan have to pay the price for it?
Let the poor people of Pakistan first boot out the military and defang them altogether. The first person who needs to go is General Asim Munir, who many are now calling him as Mullah Munir. Perhaps let's go across to our guest. Thank you, Pallavi, and ask them. Major General Indra Balan, in the political history of Pakistan, Group Captain Vinod and Lieutenant Colonel, good morning. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. A lot of things are happening, so we're just trying to be on a live and rolling coverage. But General Indra Balan, in Pakistan's military history, has there been a far more failure as a general outside of what happened in 1971? He's failed on all fronts.
Yeah, Jai Hind, Anand, it's great to interact with you on the national channel. Firstly, yes, directly coming to your question, Asim Munir has been a failure right through. But if you were to compare, I think where have been the successful general at all? Where is the comparison? Whom will you compare with? You see, any war that India has fought with Pakistan, any war that's been initiated, it's been a failure for them. India has not only given a befitting reply, but in all the wars, they had to withdraw and they have suffered a humiliating defeat, 71 being the worst. So if at all, certain generals, whether it is Bajwa or some of them who tried to support democracy, who had a more rational thinking, every other general has been a failure. Asim Munir, of course, tops the list of failures. All said and done, his provocative speak, anti-India speak, anti-Hindu speech, and also talking of how Pakistan is going to retake Kashmir, the jugular vein concept, all this whipping up of passions. I think it is never done by a general. No general speaks like this in political language. I don't think he even knows what his army is capable of, what his army's limitations are, where his army is going to be in case of a war with India, how they are going to be routed. I don't think he's ever done any strategic, tactical, or geopolitical analysis of the whole thing. He's possibly purely a military general with an ISI mindset of carrying with him the baggage of getting Kashmir back somehow or the other. But it looks like his design is going to entirely fail. And we have clearly thwarted every single attempt by Pakistan, even in the current context. Whether it is their attack by missiles, whether it is attacked by drones, and India's drone technology, since I advise 3 drone companies on developing military technology, I'll speak on it later, how we have managed to thwart these and what we can do in future. But suffice to say that I completely agree with your position that Asim Munir needs to be branded as possibly the most failed general of the Pakistan Army.
And now the Pakistan establishment and the Pakistan people have to see whether they want to get him booted out or they want us to do that too.
Yes, Absolutely, absolutely. The people of Pakistan are definitely going to raise on it. This I said almost 1 week back. So I do a lot of talk here in South India. I can also bring you the perspectives of what's happening in South India. I'm live on Malayalam channels and Tamil
Right.
channels. I interact a lot with these people here. So there is a fair amount of interest here in South India about what's happening along the borders. Though in people in South India are not suffering as much as the people in Jammu, Poonch, Rajouri, that sector, and Punjab, maybe, etc. But I think South India is completely integrated with the North in with the psychological support, moral support. And here there's a different narrative also happening about what would be the impact in South India should Pakistan trying to further foment a religious divide by targeted attacks on Hindus, by targeted attacks on Sikhs, where it may all lead to. There's another narrative that's happening here. So I'm also capable of, I
Right.
try and bring you what kind of narrative is happening here. But
Right.
that
Well,
notwithstanding, I think India has stood together and we are here to spoil the designs of us
here's what
ruling.
the Pakistanis tried. The Pakistanis tried to attack Amritsar, and then they activated the Khalistani social media handles, thinking they will succeed, to say that see they took off from Ambala and they have bombed Amritsar. That's what they wanted to do, but it all failed because of our air defense systems. 3 days and three such huge failures for the Pak military. इससे ज़्यादा फजीयत या क्या हो सकता है जनरल ग्रुप कैप्टन विनोद what more does a Nasim Munir want to show that he is a failed project?
It's a good question, Nalan. Garhwal, I mean, my wife is from Garhwal, you know. Garhwali में कहावत है, थोड़ा मारे बहुत रोए, बहुत मारे चुप. मतलब if you hit someone little bit वो रोता रहेगा, वो लगाओ तो वो चुप हो जाएगा. Asim Munir is like that. अभी इतना मार पड़ा है, अब तो चुप है. But what I wanted to explain to our viewers is about the air defense part. I mean, been an air defense pilot all my life. The air defense part, I mean, 24th of October last year, with one of your friends, I was discussing about air defense, and I said, if you do not give adequate importance to an air defense, you might as well hand over your country on a platter to the enemy. So that's what I said and explained it to them. And so I'll take
Well,
2
Captain
minutes,
Vinod,
Anand.
we've just got an update. Just need to bring you up to speed because it's a live and developing situation. There's an air warning that's been issued. It's been received from the Air Force station of a possible attack. Sirens are being sounded and all are advised to remain indoors and away from balconies. Tejinder Sodhi joins us and this is in Chandigarh. Tejinder, when did this happen, Tejinder?
Just a few moments ago, the Deputy Commissioner of Chandigarh has issued this alert. He's saying that an air warning has been received from the Air Force station of a possible attack. So, across the entire Chandigarh, sirens are being sounded. It's been more than 15 minutes now that the sirens are going on in Chandigarh. So the administration has advised people to remain indoors and away from the balconies. This is the advisory which the Deputy Commissioner of Chandigarh has issued to the people. The sources are saying that there is a possibility of a drone attack in Chandigarh. So the precautions are being put into place and the air defense mechanism has already been activated in and around the entire area to ensure that any possibility of a drone or any projectile attack from the Pakistan side is thwarted, as India did last night when Pakistan tried to attack the civilian airport in Jammu and other military locations. All those projectiles that were fired from the Pakistan side were destroyed by our air defense mechanism. So right now, a similar kind of alert has been sounded in Chandigarh, where the Deputy Commissioner is saying that he has received this warning from the Air Force station. Yes.
Right. So Chandigarh air sirens have gone out, and there is a Deputy Commissioner saying that there could be an air raid, a possible air raid, not necessarily aircraft. It could be projectiles, long distance, or even swarms. Drone swarms that come in. So two gentlemen here who are working on drone technology. Lieutenant Colonel Atul Hodkar, your thoughts before I go circle back to Major General Indra Balan and Group Captain Vinod. This current posture by the Pak military, is it suicidal for them? Are they hurtling down a path of no return for them?
Jai Hind, Anand.
Jai Hind.
We need to be very, very careful in coming days. See, you got to understand the Pakistani army has a general heading which the army doesn't like, has a political prime minister which the Pakistani people didn't elect, and Pakistan has a population which no one cares for. It's into a leadership vacuum and a divided home. People, political parties, and army, they all divided. If you look into the army also, the army is also divided. I'm not sure that how many generals are currently ready to support Munir's, this adventure. And if you look into, Pakistan itself, all the four provinces are fighting against the central forces. And you have the BLA, you have the TTP, you have the Taliban on one side, you have the Sindh unrest, which is currently going on. And Punjab is not ready to take this on. I don't know whether Mariam Nawaz has ever spoken to Munir and asked him to back off, because there is no one appears to be in control of Pakistan. And I really dread at this stage, because when you have a madman with no control heading a particular country with nukes in hand, we need to be very, very careful. And I'm very happy and quite satisfied the way we have not escalated. We just responded to what Pakistan has done, and we don't want to escalate. We don't want to go back to level where Pakistan is. There's no ego about it. What are we comparing ourselves with? A country which is a rogue nation, which is on the brink of disaster, about to collapse. We are a nation which is growing fast. We as Indians must support the government and be level-headed. Let's not be very, very jingoistic about any war with Pakistan. We don't want wars. We are on a path of great, development. And it's time that we people out here on the television sets and intellectuals in the country calm the nerves of our people. And let's not say that we need blood for blood or that kind of thing, We need to be very, very balanced, Anand.
No, we need to be balanced. We are very, very balanced. But the nation that is imbalanced, sir, if there is a mosquito that is irritating you, you do something about the mosquito. You don't say let it continue to irritate. Nobody is portraying the mosquito as an elephant. The mosquito is a mosquito, but that mosquito can also spread disease. So that's why the mosquito needs to be eliminated.
So I take one step ahead of that, and I say that, see, what India has done has very calculated moves have been taken. It has taken the international community into, it has informed the international community. It is taking all possible actions, both from all three places, whether it's ground, air, or the sea. We will, and this is one of the finest moments to put this particular enemy and irritant down onto earth and divide it. Fact is that whatever action we take has to be very measured, calculated, and it has to be taken to its logical conclusion.
Absolutely, totally agree. Like I said, when you put down the mosquito, we don't need empty claps. With each clap, we have to put down more mosquitoes and eventually destroy this entire swarm. That is creating so much of problems, and it has caused so much of disease in this entire region. We just have more news, and then we'll go back to General Indra Balan and also Captain Vinod, Group Captain Vinod. Media reports claim Pakistan government saying we urge the international partners to support de-escalation amid escalating war and collapse of stock markets. Siddhant Mishra is with us. Siddhant, Pakistan is desperate. They say, "Aur paisa de do, loan de do, hamara band bach gaya hai," and somebody intervene. But the globe is saying, sorry, tumhara mamla hai, tum suljao, we are not getting involved.
Well, that's right, Anand. In fact, the traditional, partners and allies of Pakistan, in fact, those who have been supporting Pakistan from a very, very long time have also parted their ways this time around. And in fact, they all have issued strong statement in favor of India, whether it's Qatar, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether in fact the other countries in the West Asia. Perhaps, they have understood. And this time around, Pakistan has been fully exposed by India. In fact, the other day, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri briefed foreign envoys. In fact, Indian ambassadors to UK and US are perhaps speaking to media networks there, perhaps exposing Pakistan and how Pakistan has been involved in terror attacks in India. And this is the reason that, there is a global consensus, Anand, now against Pak-sponsored terrorism. And this is the reason that none of these countries are backing Pakistan at this point in time. In fact, Deputy Saudi Foreign Minister was in India yesterday, and in fact he met EM S. Jaishankar, and chatter is that he also called on Prime Minister Modi So it says that which side these countries have chosen, and it is all because they have understood the disinformation and lies that Pakistan has been peddling from last so many years. These
Right.
countries have also understood the global significance of India in geopolitics.
Right.
This is the reason that these countries are now fully backing, and they're not listening to the call that Pakistan is giving for
Right.
de-escalation, etc. etc.
Right. How did we develop the technology to neutralize these drones? What are the kind of capabilities that we have with respect to loitering munitions and also defense systems? We'll talk to General Indra Balan, Group Captain MJ Vinod and Lieutenant Colonel Holkar after a very short break. Stay with us.
आपके घर के खाने
General has unleashed.
See, firstly,
And also, since you understand and you are both of you well read in military history, has any other Pakistan general has had such reversals and such a poor tenure other than the 1971 episode? So,
see,
is he one of Pakistan's most failed generals?
See, Pakistan and its military has had a very unique characteristic. Asim Munir should not have been the army chief. He should have retired. He's actually an usurper. He was actually brought in one day after his retirement.
So you've called him an usurper, but he's been nicknamed the deceiver. From his major days, he's been nicknamed the deceiver. There's a Pakistani former Fauji who sold us this. We'll put it out on the broadcast later. But yes, Hanji, please complete.
So he has actually been brought in by politicians for meeting their own specific requirements. His mindset was clearly revealed when he talked about two-nation theory, when he talked about religion, when he talked about faith. So this chap, he's not even from Pakistan Military Academy. So it's not that many people in Pakistan's army itself like him. But at the moment, he's in power and the civilian government in Pakistan is totally dependent on him. In fact, he is responsible for ensuring that Shahbaz Sharif is in power. The fake elections, the fraud elections, which they actually inflicted on the people of Pakistan, were conducted under his watch. And he has continued to patronize terrorism, which was very clearly evident with the presence of large-scale army personnel at the funeral of these jihadi terrorists, and the way he has been acting since taking over. He has not only been indulging in random acts of violence, he has been making statements against Afghanistan, against Pakistan. He is not only that, he has actually gone on to sack some of the lieutenant generals and senior officers in Pakistan Army who were slightly more rational. So there are dissensions within Pakistan Army, and of course that's been made very clear by the successes which Baloch Liberation Army has actually achieved.
That's why I said, is he one of the most failed generals of Pakistan? One, the most popular leader was incarcerated, wahi unpopular ho gaya. He didn't deserve to be army chief, he became army chief, he usurped somebody's position. Third, the Baloch have bajawed them, the Pakistani military. The Jafar Express is the biggest embarrassment. Usse pehle November last year also they had this when they took over an entire city for 3 days. Then the Afghans, they are upset with him. The Sindhi, the Cholistan project has rendered him very, very unpopular again. That's his pet project, and he's accused of perhaps even siphoning off billions from that, making money off it. And now currently with what he's inflicted upon Pakistan. So, and 3 nights of reversals. एक तो आपने कहा हम तैयार है, आ जाओ, कोशिश करो, हमने 9 जगह ठोक दिया उनको, सारे टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ध्वस्त कर दिए. देन बोला हम आएंगे, जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे, सब फेल हो गए. फिर हमने उनके ADSs को we've demolished in Pindi, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Sialkot. Then last night they tried again. And nothing has worked there. Nothing has worked. And we have countered there, and there is a huge amount of pummeling. We are waiting for the official briefing, but we are given to understand Pakistan has suffered huge reversals last night in the retaliation from Bharat based on the equal measure retaliation. उन्होंने 15 लोकेशन चूज किए हैं, हमने भी 15 लोकेशन में उनको काफी मारा है. They are not coming out and saying it, but we will claim, and perhaps there will be a briefing today for more details on what's happened last night. But right now, some more news coming through before we go back to General Kochar. We are learning from defense sources At least 45 drones were taken down by the Army Air Defense itself. And this is between Ladakh to Bhuj. So military infrastructure in Leh was also targeted last night by Pakistan. No success from the length and breadth of such a long area, geographical space they've tried to cover. Akash joining us with more. Yes, Akash.
Anand, first of all, it is largely peaceful in the morning hours, so no need to panic. It is for the general public.
The general has unleashed.
See, firstly,
and also. A short while ago, morning, I'm just having a snack while we took a break. Finished. Let's go. We're live and rolling, viewers, so bear with me. Indian air defense systems remain vigilant. We've got this update. Last night, IAF used CUAS, Pechora, Summer and AD guns. So a short while ago, we got you what the army had used, including the 23mm guns. So Pakistan's bid to send drones was thwarted by the Indian Air Force and the Indian Army. The Indian Army is saying across the western border, about 15 to 18 locations, they themselves must have neutralized at least 50 drones. The Air Force with the S-400s, the MR-SAMs, the Akash, and including that now so many others that have been now named. Let's go across to Akash and then we'll take this to General Indrabalan and Group Captain Vinod along with Lieutenant Colonel Holkar to talk more about these defense systems and the integrated air defense systems that we now got to help us thwart these threats. Yes, Akash.
So, Anand, as far as air defense is concerned, so we have been discussing it since morning that, we have got a layered air defense, both in Air Force and in Army. And we have been, learning that counter unmanned aircraft systems were very much used. Pechora was very much used. Summer, that is surface-to-air missile system, that is an integration of S-400, Akash and MR-SAMs, was very much used. It is a layered system where, call is taken on the basis of threat that is coming. S-400, remember, has got a range of 400 kilometers. It can, in fact, identify a threat coming from 400 kilometers, in fact. And, these, in fact, surface-to-air missiles were very, in fact, useful last night. We have seen, in fact, multiple sources have confirmed that how, these systems were very much employed. AD guns is something, in the last few months, we have seen that both Indian Army and Indian Air Force have carried out, some sort of upgrades in the AD systems, AD guns. And, in AD guns specifically, they have focused on UAVs. In the conflicts around the world, we have been seeing an increased and intensified, in fact, use of UAVs, drones. We have seen that how Iran,
Akash, let's just take this across. I've got limited time. So let's just take this across to the experts who are working on this kind of tech and also advising multiple firms on this. General Indrabalan, CUAS, Pechora, Summer and the AD guns. This is what the Air Force is also pressed into service last night to guard our skies. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I will leave the air defense experts to talk on the air defense. Suffice to say that we have an integrated air systems which range from short range to medium range to long range to ballistics and all that. The S-400 is the most recent addition with 3 units in place. What I'm going to talk about is how we are going to counter the drone and how India is going to have an edge on the drone warfare, which is what it seems is going to be in the offing if this sub-conventional military arsenal standoff attack continues for a longer time. So drones are here to stay. We've seen what happened in Ukraine war. The drones have been effectively used by both sides, more by Ukraine. India's drone industry is from nascent. It has upgraded itself to a large extent. India has mail drones manufacturing capability, hail drones manufacturing capability, swarm drones manufacturing capability. Plus, also India is manufacturing counter drone systems. So here, what it seems has been used is kinetic counter drone capability, both by using air defense weapon, which is something very fantastic. Directly hitting the drones using air defense guns is like, shooting a crow which is flying and we're trying to bring it down, or some system that we're using air guns, which is with high-tech drones being flown. So this is something very new, and India has very, very successfully done. I think compliments to the air defense people to have used the conventional system to bring down drones. But that part, our industry is working on developing different types of counter drones, whether it is called a spoof technology, whether it is called navigational spoofing, communication spoofing, or magnetic spoofing. We are also capable of doing killer drones, kamikaze drones. All this is being developed by the industry.
Right.
What I think the industry, we have more than 60 companies in India of all large and small ranges which are working on all this. South India is the heart center of the drone technology. I think the government would really do well if these companies are right now empowered, bring out their technology and display their technology might on the on the international border.
At this point, I think, yes, Group Captain Vinod, quick comment. I have to wind up, but yes, please. What's been best into service by the Air Force? Ji.
Yeah, in fact, Anand, as Blackwood Abbott, Varsha, my wife, she had gone just day before to deliver some of the drones that we make to the army at Jalandhar, and then she got stuck. And currently, as we speak, she is in the army with her team, stuck because it is completely blacked out and nobody is allowed to go in, nobody is allowed to come out. So the point I'm trying to make is, taking leaf from what General is talking about, that being indigenous and both in terms of design and development and the production, that is what sets us apart. We are not, for most cases, dependent on import. That is one. Second, quickly I'll cover a point about air defense. In air defense we have something called mass, mix, and mobility. In the mix, we need to have a long range vector, a medium range vector, and the short range vector. So in the long range, we have S-400s. In the medium range, we have the Akash and SAM-3s and all that. But the close-in weapon system, and all three have to hand over from one to another. So we have a backbone called ISCCS, and like your boots on the ground is covering, that we are integrated now the Army AD as well as the Air Force AD on one singular backbone, which works so beautifully like the well-oiled machine, which is the reason why none of those Swarm or whatever makeshift drones that came from Pakistan did any kind of damage over us. Over to you.
Right. Lieutenant Colonel Holkar, I have to wind up, but please, yes.
So we basically have a very multi-layered air defense systems, which when we compare it to, HQ-9 of Chinese origin with Pakistan, we have integrated our Russian S-400 along with the Israeli system with our indigenous Akash. And I can tell you one thing which the NATO really dreads is S-400, and it's got a range of as much as 600 kilometers. So we can see deep inside Pakistan. And yesterday, the way we saw our entire AD system, counteracting the Pakistani movement, it was amazing to watch. None of these, as the officer before me said, could penetrate our defense system. Let's wait and watch further.
Yes, let's wait and watch, and perhaps what happens next. Yeah. Because if we have hit some of their air defense systems, so they are blindsided in some pockets. So there are some blind spots which perhaps Bharat, if it decides to go up the escalatory ladder and beyond just responding to what the Pakistanis do, we'll see what happens. Right now, there is also another aspect as we wind up. Thank you to our guests. As we wind up, viewers, be mindful. The Pakistanis are great at playing these mind games. There are instances which have now been reported where Pakistanis sent people, tractors with huge speakers, which were only firing audio of guns being fired or planes flying around. And this was being done along the border and along the LoC. So sometimes when they are trying to do it, they may just be playing mind games just to create a state of panic and fear among the locals. So we've got to be clear. We've got to trust with our armed forces. We've got to trust our ability to not just defend ourselves, but also strike the enemy hard. Let's trust our forces, trust our brave hearts, and stay true to the cause of Operation Sindoor. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us. The coverage continues. General has unleashed.
See, firstly,
and also, since you understand and you are both of you well read in military history, has any other Pakistan general has had such reversals and such a poor tenure other than the 1971 episode? So,
See,
is he one of Pakistan's most failed generals?
See, Pakistan and its military has had a very unique characteristic. Asim Munir should not have been the army chief. He should have retired. He's actually an usurper. He was actually brought in one day after his retirement.
So you've called him an usurper, but he's been nicknamed the deceiver. From his major days, he's been nicknamed the deceiver. There's a Pakistani former Fauji who sold us this. We'll put it out on the broadcast later. But yes, Hanji, please complete.
So he has actually been brought in by politicians for meeting their own specific requirements. His mindset was clearly revealed when he talked about two-nation theory, when he talked about religion, when he talked about faith. So this chap, he's not even from Pakistan Military Academy. So it's not that many people in Pakistan's army itself like him. But at the moment, he's in power and the civilian government in Pakistan is totally dependent on him. In fact, he is responsible for ensuring that Shahbaz Sharif is in power. The fake elections, the fraud elections, which they actually inflicted on the people of Pakistan, were conducted under his watch. And he has continued to patronize terrorism, which was very clearly evident with the presence of large-scale army personnel at the funeral of these jihadi terrorists, and the way he has been acting since taking over. He has not only been indulging in random acts of violence, he's been making statements against Afghanistan, against Pakistan. He is not only that, he has actually gone on to sack some of the lieutenant generals and senior officers in Pakistan Army who were slightly more rational. So there are dissensions within Pakistan Army, and of course that's been made very clear by the successes which Baloch Liberation Army has actually achieved.
That's why I said, is he one of the most failed generals of Pakistan? One, the most popular leader was incarcerated, wahi unpopular ho gaya. He didn't deserve to be army chief, he became army chief, he usurped somebody's position. Third, the Baloch have bajawed them, the Pakistani military. The Jafar Express is the biggest embarrassment. Usse pehle November last year also they had this when they took over an entire city for 3 days. Then the Afghans, they are upset with him. The Sindhi, the Cholistan project has rendered him very, very unpopular again. That's his pet project, and he's accused of perhaps even siphoning off billions from that, making money off it. And now currently with what he's inflicted upon Pakistan. So, and 3 nights of reversals. एक तो आपने कहा हम तैयार है, आ जाओ, कोशिश करो, हमने 9 जगह ठोक दिया उनको, सारे टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ध्वस्त कर दिए. देन बोला हम आएंगे, जवाबी कार्रवाई करेंगे, सब फेल हो गए. फिर हमने उनके ADSs को we've demolished in Pindi, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Sialkot. Then last night they tried again. And nothing has worked there. Nothing has worked. And we have countered there, and there is a huge amount of pummeling. We are waiting for the official briefing, but we are given to understand Pakistan has suffered huge reversals last night in the retaliation from Bharat based on the equal measure retaliation. उन्होंने 15 location choose की.
Viewers, the conflict has widened. It has widened to the point where India has reportedly targeted Lahore, Pindi, Karachi after foiling multiple Pak attacks. You saw those pictures we opened with just a short while back of those Pakistani drones and other missile systems and projectiles trying to breach Indian defense system. But obviously, we have proven our complete might, knocking down each one of these Pakistani misadventures. We were here, of course, all of last night, bringing you the updates from all these affected areas along the border, from the LoC down to the IB. You had Pathankot Air Base that was being targeted, Jaisalmer, Jammu, Akhnoor, Rajouri, Poonch, Uri, Kupwara. You name it, viewers, they were trying to knock our defense systems. They were trying to hit our military assets. All they did, actually, the cowards, was to inflict damage on ordinary citizens. It was the citizens that felt a lot of Pakistan's terrorism, and that is really the operative word, because the Indian government has launched a massive diplomatic offensive, viewers, giving interviews to the foreign press, establishing the close links between the Pakistani state and the terror network that prevails within Pakistan. Interviews have been given to various top news anchors globally. We've also had reciprocal responses from a large number of leaders who have been supporting India and its right to defend its territorial integrity and its citizens. But there also have been calls for de-escalation. Now, viewers, at the top of 10, let me try and sum up for you the top 4 or 5 developments which we're leading with, which also cover, of course, the last 24 hours. Tri-Services chiefs to meet Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, amid the escalating India-Pakistan tensions. All 3 service chiefs are at the South Block. They are set to hold a crucial meeting on the developing security system in Defense Minister Rajnath Singh. So this is going to be an important meeting. We're also expected to, of course, have a press briefing. That will be the day 3 of the MEA news briefings today. Ministry of External Affairs scheduled to hold a news briefing today after Pakistan's military escalation. It's the 3rd briefing to be held in the last 3 days. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister to take stock of the situation in his union territory. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah to visit Jammu, Rajouri, Poonch following Pakistan's attack on the civilian areas, to take stock of the situation. That is his convoy heading towards those areas. The Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, Manoj Sinha, also visiting Uri. Uri has been very, very badly hit, especially the civilian areas. There has been no report of any damage to any military installations or assets there, viewers. But because Uri is so close to the LoC, the Pakistani coward army, the terror army, decided to target the innocent civilians there. And we have seen, obviously, some losses amongst the civilians, which is very, very unfortunate. And one must think about those civilians out there on the front lines, really, their courage down to every woman, man and child. There have been fresh ceasefire violations this morning also. After last night's failed strikes, Pakistan has now resorted to ceasefire violations and unprovoked firing. Reports of the same emerged from Poonch and Kupwara. Several civilian areas have been damaged. We've got those pictures for you on your screens. You can see these are bedrooms of innocent people living ordinary lives in very, very ordinary locales. These are people who have sworn and lived by high moral standards, viewers, and they are being targeted for no fault of theirs. Water tanks have been attacked, it's cars, anything and everything to do with civilians has been targeted. It's mindless, but that's what terror armies do, viewers. They target those that are defenseless. Air raid sirens in Chandigarh have been sounded this morning. An air raid warning received from Air Force Station in Chandigarh, and sirens have been sounded. Citizens are advised to remain indoors and maintain vigil. You can hear that siren going off. So complete, in one sense or the other, warning and advisory through this siren to all the residents to stay within their homes. The army handed Pakistan a befitting reply overnight. Let me tell you this, viewers, the Indian Army has released a statement on Pakistan's army's attacks using drones and other munitions along the entire western border last night. The army said the attacks were effectively repulsed and befitting reply was given. In those pictures on your screens, viewers, has been released by the army to show how they took out a Pak position on the LoC. There might have been a few casualties there. We don't quite know, but the Pakistanis were using that actively. So if that has been hit by a loitering munition, it's quite clear that Pakistan might have suffered some losses on their side of the LoC. India's renewed pitch at the IMF meets today. It's an important day because the Pakistanis have gone once again with their begging bowl around the world. A statement has been released by the Economic Affairs Department in Pakistan saying and admitting for the first time that they have been badly mauled by the Indian forces. Heavy losses have been inflicted, they have said, and they are hoping for donors, as they say, to pitch in and help them mount a defense of their country. So India is going to try and thwart that because we know that that money that comes from donors for public welfare is immediately channeled and spent really on defense expenditure to try and buffer their own capacities to take on India and, of course, line the pockets of the terrorists that they harbor. So India is going to now lobby with the IMF, renewed pitch. India has once again pushed for Pakistan's grey listing at the FATF, at the IMF meeting in Washington. Remember, Pakistan managed to extricate itself. It's got very great personal skills and its diplomats are very good at playing the victim card, and a few years ago they got off that FATF list. Sources say that India has verbally presented new evidence about how the funds are being used for terror funding. We've also got reactions coming in. Rajnath Singh, of course, to meet Tri-Services Chief. Defence Minister leaves his residence, I just told you, on his way to South Block. Arunima is with us. Arunima, what can you tell us about this? This is an important development, clearly a stock-taking exercise.
Yes, every briefing that is happening is obviously leading more results. Raksha Mantri, the Tri-Service Chiefs, and this is an integrated command right now, which means all three services are working in tandem. They're working as a single command, and because the Border Security Force at the line of control works under the Army's command, so that's also a factor. So integrated command is functional. CDS is also expected at that briefing, and it is also being said that post this briefing from the Tri-Service Chiefs and by the CDS, Raksha Mantri could also meet the Prime Minister. We have been seeing how consistently National Security Advisor, Raksha Mantri and Griha Mantri have been briefing the PM. PM also met all the secretaries yesterday. Home, other secretaries were also present there who are dealing with civilians and dealing with issues that must be kept in mind as far as civilian security is concerned. But this particular meeting, we are expecting Raksha Mantri any moment at South Block now, from where we are coming to you live. He's left his residence. We are told that post midnight things have been under control. India gave a befitting reply to Pakistani misadventure with swarm of drones yesterday, and since then things appear to be in control, but they are still anticipating that Pakistan could try and escalate the situation. So for that, India is prepared, and these string of meetings should be seen in that light.
Absolutely. We're also being told now, and of course you've been reporting that BSF has foiled a major infiltration bid at the international boundary in the Samba district. Arunima, what can you tell us about this? This is part of that ongoing attempt to try and overwhelm Indian defense systems, isn't it?
So while the swarm of drones were still being taken down, while the loitering ammunitions were being tackled by India's air defense system, BSF surveillance grid picked up an infiltration attempt in the Samba sector. This is on the international border, and immediately BSF, which is on heightened alert, it went into the action mode. The infiltration was foiled. A number of infiltrators were brought down. Now we are hearing that the suspicion of the intelligence agencies is that this was a Jaish module, and at least 7 are suspected to have been killed. Officially, Border Security Force has only confirmed that they had noticed a movement and they immediately swung into action. This is the BSF Jammu social media handle, which confirmed that yes, they have acted against these infiltrators. But the information that we have now is that seems the suspicion is that this could have been a Jaish module, and at least 7 infiltrators who perhaps belong to Jaish-e-Mohammed have been taken down. I must also qualify here that what Border Security Force is telling us is that the situation is quite heightened at this moment, and therefore it might take them to authenticately get authenticated information if they find any iCard, if they manage to recover any body. But right now the situation is not conducive to that kind of an action because of the tension along the international border, and therefore this is an agency input that we are bringing to you that at least 7 are killed, could be more.
Okay, well, stay on with us, Arunima. After Chandigarh, now an alert has been sounded in Panchkula. 2 viewers. People have been advised to stay indoors, away from glasses and window panes, because Arunima has been keeping track of all these developments. Arunima, you're really on top of the news this morning. Arunima, can you hear me?
Both in Mohali and in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
Yes, Rahul. So both in Mohali and Chandigarh, this alert came in because this is what DC Chandigarh put out. What he said was that air siren has been sounded off, and the drill is very clear. The defense drill, the CDS, the civil defense drill that we have practiced is very clear that when an air warning is received from an air station, you must stay indoors, and this is what DC Chandigarh said. Sirens are being sounded. All are advised to remain indoors and away from balconies. Soon after, the Mohali administration also put out a similar alert, saying that there is an alert in some areas of Union Territory of Chandigarh. We are advising Mohali residents in bordering sectors as well to remain indoors, away from windows and glass panes. So Mohali, Chandigarh, Panchkula, they're like Delhi NCR. They're quite close to each other, almost like one unit, one city. So all three are now advising their residents to stay indoors, to avoid unnecessary travel, and be away from window panes. That's important, because what we saw in the border areas yesterday, be it Rajouri, Poonch, Uri, that there were shrapnels which injured some of the civilians. So stay away from window panes, stay indoors, avoid unnecessary travel, and just get the authentic information that your district administration is providing to you. That's the message from the district administration in Mohali, Panchkula and Chandigarh.
Absolutely. Now, very quickly, Arunima, last night, of course, there were all these attempts across the LoC, IB, etc., etc. They were thwarted very effectively. Can you give us a small and quick update, really, on how all of this was executed? There are some details that are coming out over the last few hours.
Yes, and very effectively, it is very clear that India's air defense system has risen to the occasion much more than what Pakistan has managed to do as far as their own defense, air defense is concerned. They've tried to escalate the situation. India is very clear that Pahalgam was the original escalation and India is only responding. But after Operation Sindoor Phase 1, Pakistan's misadventure continued. They tried to ramp up their firing along the line of control. There were ceasefire violations across the LoC, killing a number of our civilians. I think the last count was about 15 civilians dead in Uri alone, and India had to respond. So the response came yesterday afternoon also, all the way up to the afternoon, where the air defense system of Lahore was taken down. Same was with Karachi and Rawalpindi. But even there, Pakistan did not stop. Yesterday, once the sun set, we saw all across our line of control and international border, from Uri to Jammu, Udhampur, Arnia, then Pathankot, after Pathankot, Jaisalmer, and then Kutch. All across, there was a swarm of Pakistani drones, loitering ammunitions, which tried to take on Indian assets. But like I said, India's air defense system has really set the benchmark high, and hopefully Pakistan would have learnt its lessons now.
Well, let's shift scene a little bit away from the Union capital, where, of course, it's a beehive of activity. Arunima is top of all of that. We're going to be joined by Anshul and Rajan, both from Pathankot and Poonch. Anshul, first to you, good morning. It's been a long night. I know, I'm aware. We were on till quite late into the night. You were very brave and very vigilant. Tell us a little bit about the overnight attack there by Pakistan on Pathankot, and the morning after. What is the city woken up to?
This entire attack started in Pathankot at approximately 8:30 p.m. last evening and went on till midnight. And then in the morning at approximately somewhere between 4 to 4:30 p.m. there were another 10 sort of projectiles that were fired. A few of them, I was able to see a few of them as well over here. But now a clear message has been sent to Pakistan, specifically from out here in Pathankot, which is just 25 kilometers away from the border. I'll just ask my camera person Sumit Chaguri to show you in the visuals over here. This is what Pathankot has woken up to. Absolute normalcy, without a sense of fear. This actually tells the fact that the people of Pathankot and the people of this country have absolute faith in the armed forces, in the security forces, because even after yesterday's cowardly attack that was done by Pakistan, hundreds of projectiles were launched towards India, and yet they were not able to hit any of these targets. They were not even able to reach on the ground. And this is something that has given a lot of confidence to all these people, to all these locals over here. Even after being attacked by Pakistan less than 14 hours ago, they are out on the roads. They are back to their normal lives. They are waiting for India to go ahead and give a reply, so that Pakistan does not dare to go ahead and do something as cowardly as it has done. So yes, the people of Pathankot are absolutely motivated at this point in time. Even at this morning, 7 a.m. this morning, people were out from their houses. They were exercising. The blackout was taken out at 4 a.m. this morning, and since then there has been absolute normalcy that is prevailing out here in Pathankot.
Okay, stay on with me. Let me go across to Rajan, who's reporting from Poonch. Rajan ji, Pak terrorist army ने दहशत फैलाने की कोशिश की थी पुंछ में और राजौरी में और जो इर्द गिर्द जो इलाके हैं वहाँ पर, तो वहाँ पर अभी सूरत हाल क्या है?
जी देखिए, पाकिस्तान की तरफ से लगातार कोशिश की गई है। रात से ही जो है हैवी शेलिंग जो है पूंछ और राजौरी और नौशहरा सेक्टर में की गई है। जब मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूं तो इस वक्त नौशहरा सेक्टर में हैवी शेलिंग जो है वो की जा रही है। पूंछ में भी जो इलाके हैं LoC के बिल्कुल पास, वहां पे हैवी शेलिंग हुई है। पूंछ सिटी तक भी अब जो रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि कुछ गोले जो है वो दागे गए हैं। इसलिए पाकिस्तान की डेस्परेट अटेम्प्ट है कि लोगों में दहशत फैला दी जाए, प्रेशर टैक्टिक्स अपनाने की कोशिश है उनकी। लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूं कि 2 दिन पहले पुंछ में हैवी शेलिंग हुई थी। सिटी को टारगेट किया गया था। गुरुद्वारा थे, मंदिर थे, लोगों के मकान और दुकानें जो है ध्वस्त हुई थी। उसमें काफी जानमाल का नुकसान हुआ था, जिसके बाद पुंछ के लोग काफी संख्या में जो है वो मूव कर चुके हैं सेफर प्लेसेस की तरफ। और काफी जो वहां के बाजार हैं, मार्केट सब बंद हैं। और यहाँ पे जिस तरह से लोगों में एक तरह से खौफ बना हुआ है, क्योंकि लोग उसके लिए तैयार नहीं थे। जिस तरह से परसों जो घटना घटी, उसके बाद कई लोग जो हैं वो जम्मू या आसपास जो सेफ जगह हैं वहां पे मूव किए हैं। लेकिन यहाँ पे हालात जो है वो संवेदनशील बने हुए हैं। लगातार जो है पाकिस्तान की तरफ से टारगेट किया गया है और शेलिंग जो है वो की जा रही है। जो रिहायशी इलाके हैं उनको टारगेट बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही है, आम लोगों को टारगेट बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही है। यहाँ तक कि कुछ लोग जिन्होंने हमसे बात की, उन्होंने बताया कि वो निकलने की कोशिश में थे, लेकिन इतनी हैवी शेलिंग जो है वो पाकिस्तान की तरफ से की गई कि वो जो कुछ लोग फंस गए। और सुबह जिस तरह से कुछ देर के लिए शेलिंग रुकी थी, उसमें लोग जो है वहां से निकले हैं। और यही जो हालात है ये पुंछ, राजौरी और नौशहरा सेक्टर के बने हुए हैं। मेंढर में भी वापस जो है पाकिस्तान की तरफ से शेलिंग की गई है। लगातार LoC के इलाकों को टारगेट किया जा रहा है और भारतीय सेना भी इसका मुंह तोड़ जो जवाब है वो दे रही है। लगातार जो शेलिंग है, जो यहाँ से रिटेलिएशन है, रिस्पॉन्स है इंडियन आर्मी का, वो भी काफी स्ट्रांग है पाकिस्तान के लिए। और ऐसे में यह जो हालात किस तरह से किस करवट बैठेंगे ये अभी हम बता नहीं पाएंगे, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं संवेदनशील, जैसे मैंने बोला कि हालात बने हुए हैं। लोग कुछ सहमे हैं। लोगों का यह कहना है कि जो बंकर एक्चुअली यहाँ पे जब सीज फायर दोनों देशों में एक पैक्ट हुआ जिसके तहत के LoC पे गोले नहीं दागे जाएंगे, शेलिंग नहीं की जाएगी, उसके बाद 2-3 साल लोग काफी आराम में थे, पीस में थे। लेकिन उस वक्त लोगों ने जो बंकर पहले तैयार किए गए थे उसकी सफाई नहीं की थी, उनको यूज भी नहीं किया था, कभी यूज करने की नौबत नहीं आई। लेकिन अचानक जिस तरह से अब ये शेलिंग हुई है तो लोग जो हैं उन बंकर्स में भी छिप नहीं पा रहे हैं, क्योंकि काफी हैवी जो वेजिटेशन है उन बंकर्स में हो चुकी है। तो ऐसे में हालात जो हैं वो मुश्किल है लोगों के लिए, लेकिन लोग अपनी सेना के साथ डटे हुए हैं। उनका कहना है कि हम अपनी सेना के साथ खड़े हैं। सेना अगर पाकिस्तान को मुंह तोड़ जवाब देती है, लेकिन उनको सिर्फ ये एक कंसर्न है कि जो उनके बच्चे हैं, छोटे बच्चे हैं, महिलाएं हैं, बुजुर्ग हैं, उनकी वो सेफ्टी के लिए वो चिंतित हैं। जी।
Well, viewers, spare a thought for all of those who are living on the front line, spare a thought for all our media personnel who are out there, Rajan and others who are out there covering this conflict as it is beginning to widen and escalate. Viewers, those people are at the front lines. And remember, anyone who harbored sympathy for Pakistan felt that we should go in for de-escalation dialogue all these years, make concessions, etc., etc. Now they know that it's not really about anything to do with territorial concessions. Pakistan has a problem with India. It doesn't want India to exist. And even all of those who might have sympathized with the Pakistani cause today are suffering huge losses. This is really not about our Kashmiri brothers and sisters, as Pakistan would say constantly. They have been attacking them. And it is the civilians that they have absolutely homed in on, zeroed in on. And I want to open this up and talk a little bit to some of our guests this morning. Sushant Sareen, General Pandey, both of them have been keeping a silent but long vigil all through the night. I'm seeing more of you guys than I'm actually seeing of my own family. Sushant Sareen, very quickly, all of what we've been seeing over the last 24 hours. Some of it has obviously been reported at breathtaking speed and breakneck speed. But what I can tell you, and perhaps you could interpret this, the Economic Affairs Division of the government of Pakistan has appealed to the international partners to loan more money after they say heavy losses have been inflicted by the enemy amid escalating war and stock crash. So I just hope this is not deep fake, but if this is indeed the case, then Pakistan is sweating.
Rahul, I think the contents of the tweet are correct, but I'm not sure if it is by the Economic Affairs Division of the Pakistan government or the Ministry of Finance. Apparently, that account has been hacked, but I think the contents are absolutely correct. I don't think anybody can doubt the validity of what the post says. But apparently the account is hacked because, come on, everybody knows that even though Pakistanis are dumbos, they're not that dumb that they will publicly say that, listen, we desperately need money because we are broke. Please remember that Punjabis, when they are broke, they act as though they are the richest people in the world. They'll spend even more money so that in the market, everybody thinks that they're not broke. So please understand the enemy before, we start analyzing him. But having said that, Rahul, I think it's important that we verify news before we start airing it, which is why yesterday on your channel I was always saying that, look, we are hearing these reports, but I'll wait for official confirmation of what exactly has happened. And obviously a lot of it was unverified, and it just got a life of its own. And I think we need to be really careful about what is being churned out on television channels or on other news media, because I don't see any reason why we really need to amplify news which is not verified. Also, I think it is extremely important because as of now, after the attacks that Pakistan launched last night, in Pathankot, in Jammu and in other places, which they call an Indian false flag attack, or that we have not done anything, while it was visible to everybody what was happening. I have not seen any response from the Indian side. And I am a little disappointed because I suspect that what the Pakis have tried to do is that they've tried to launch an attack. Those attacks have been unsuccessful, but by denying, they are saying, okay, fine, now let's end it here. Are we going to let them get away with it? And I would imagine that if you let them get away with it and you don't do counter strikes, whether at the same level of what they were trying to do or at a somewhat higher level, then again, we are back to square one. That the Pakis will later on gloat that, look, we did this and there was nothing else that the Indians could do. So I would imagine that if we are letting it de-escalate and taking an off-ramp, which the Pakis are trying to take, and letting them take it, we might start losing the plot on this episode.
Well, let me just very quickly cut across to Arunima, because that's really where she is, where all these meetings are taking place. And if any information has to come out, it's going to come out from there. Arunima, what are you learning? What's happening?
So Raksha Mantri has just arrived in South Block. He was scheduled to, initially we were told that around 9:30, 10 o'clock is when the Tri-Service Chiefs and CDS could brief him. That it seems is a little delayed. But now he is in South Block. The Tri-Service Chiefs are also in South Block. So that briefing about the situation as it is unfolding. What has happened last night, we're all reporting since last night. This morning, like all our colleagues are showing, be it Akash in Jammu or be it Anshul in Pathankot, they're all telling us that things appear peaceful. Chandigarh, yes, an alert was sounded just about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, and followed by that Mohali and Panchkula too. But I can now confirm to you that the Chandigarh alert now is over. Things are appearing to be in control in Chandigarh right now as well. So overall, what is it that the agencies are picking up? What is the assessment of the defence establishment? All of that is being discussed in South Block right now, and there is a big chance that after this meeting, Raksha Mantri could brief the Prime Minister as well as the situation is unfolding.
Okay, brief the Prime Minister. That'd be important. Yesterday, of course, You and I were on air when that important meeting between the NSA and the Prime Minister was happening, and now we can understand why that meeting was actually taking place, because there was so much overnight action on the other side of the line, really, that India had initiated. Arunima, there are a few people who are saying that, look, we're a bit disappointed, for example, with the Indian response. Do we have any idea? Do we have any idea of what really transpired? There's also breaking news coming in. I need you to just hang on there, because there's some breaking news coming in. A missile-like used weapon was found near a dargah in street number 4 of Bir Talab area in Bhatinda. Let's go straight across to our reporters to get a sense of what this is. Anshul Singh reporting on this. Anshul, what can you tell us about this, please?
So at this point in time, it is expected to be a part of the projectile that was actually sent from Pakistan last night, and which was intercepted by our air defense systems. And since the interception happened mid-air, and that is the reason why these debris have fallen in places where there has been absolutely no damage whatsoever. Now these debris that has now been recovered actually goes ahead and points fingers towards Pakistan as to what were they thinking, and why were they actually trying to go ahead and target civilian facilities? Why were they actually going to target on civilians? Because this is something that is absolutely not acceptable. But yes, Pakistan being Pakistan yet again, they tried to go ahead and attack civilian population, and these parts of a destroyed missile is actually proof of how Pakistan was actually trying to kill innocent civilians yet again out here in India.
Kill innocent civilians. What are people saying there? I mean, I can see a large number of these people handling this stuff. I don't even know if they should be doing that, because it compromises the evidence quality. But nonetheless, what are they saying? What is the talk that is doing the rounds? What kind of missile? Any details? There are some police personnel there also guarding that site now.
So yes, the police personnel that you are seeing on your screens right now are actually taking photographs of a place where the debris has fallen, and these photographs will eventually be sent for forensic testing along with the missiles that have been sent. These will be sent to the DRDO so that it could be figured out as to what is the exact make and what is the exact technology that has been used in these missiles. It is also expected that with the in-depth research, we will also be able to find out as to what was the location that was set on these missiles as well. So at this point in time, as we are speaking, the first step is happening. The police is taking pictures from the place where it has been recovered. The second step is that it will be handed over to the agencies for further investigation. But if we speak of the locals on the ground, they say that they heard these loud noises yesterday, and they also heard this bang when this debris fell on the ground. But since it was pitch dark, no one dared to step out from their houses, and since the local administration had also announced a blackout, and hence each and every person followed that. No one stepped out from their house last night. Now, since this morning, since the blackouts have been removed, have been taken back, the locals stepped out, went into their fields to find this massive piece of debris, which is looking even bigger than a drum, being brought down by the Indian forces. So definitely a big success for the Indian forces, as they were able to thwart this cowardly attack from Pakistan, and definitely this is a crucial piece of evidence that could actually go ahead and defame or shame Pakistan on international stage.
Well, obviously we are going to look for markings and other trace objects that can help us locate where this has come from, and if it was supplied by maybe China or whoever else it is that Pakistan leans on. So those investigations are on. We'll update you on that. Thank you, Anshul. Let me just quickly bring you up to speed. Political reactions here in India after last night, Chief Minister Yogi's statement on the occasion of Maharana Pratap's birth anniversary today, saying that Pakistan is seen groaning in the front of the world. Pakistan is still being shameless. Clear repudiation by Chief Minister Yogi of the actions of Pakistan. There's been an attempt now, viewers, and you'll see that amongst political leaders in India as well as the diplomatic community, to link Pakistan to terrorism and the sponsorship of terrorism. So expect all these reactions now to lock in on that narrative. Let's listen into what Yogi Adityanath has said.
उस आतंक की गिरते हुए
हर भारतवासी ने निंदा ही नहीं की थी, बल्कि पाकिस्तान को सबक सिखाने की भी ठानी थी। और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी का जो संकल्प था, हमारे बहादुर जवानों ने, तीनों सेनाओं ने पाकिस्तान को उसका करारा जवाब देकर के आज आप देख रहे होंगे किस रूप में अलग थलग पड़ा पाकिस्तान आज दुनिया के सामने कराहता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। आपने पाकिस्तान को बेशर्मीपूर्ण चरित्र देखा है कि जब भारत की कार्रवाई से आतंकवादी मारे गए, उन आतंकवादियों के जनाजे में पाकिस्तान के शीर्ष सैन्य अधिकारियों की उपस्थिति, पाकिस्तान के राजनेताओं की उपस्थिति दुनिया की आंखों को खोलने वाला होना चाहिए कि पाकिस्तान आतंकवाद को प्रश्रय ही नहीं देता, बल्कि आतंकी गतिविधियों में सीधे सीधे लिप्त है। और उसकी संलिप्तता इस बात को दिखाती है कि पाकिस्तान अब अपने वजूद के लिए जूझता हुआ दिखाई देगा। हर भारतवासी का दायित्व बनता है इस समय हम भारत की सेनाओं के मनोबल को बनाए रखने के लिए, देश की सुरक्षा के साथ कोई भी अगर शरारती तत्व किसी प्रकार की शरारत करता है तो पूरी सजगता और सतर्कता के साथ हम सबको भी अपनी सेनाओं के मनोबल को भी बढ़ाना है, सुरक्षा बलों के साथ भी खड़ा होना है। साथ साथ किसी भी उस शरारतपूर्ण कार्रवाई को जो सुरक्षा में सेंध लगाती हो उसको बेनकाब भी करना है। तमाम प्रकार की शरारतें होंगी सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से।
Well, Manmohan Rai is reporting on this important soundbite by Yogi Adityanath ji. Manmohan ji, clearly सारे जो नेताएं हैं भारत के, जो नेतागण हैं, उन्हें एक मैसेज दे रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान दहशत फैलाता है और दहशत गढ़ का वो एक हब है। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि सब यही एक बेसिकली दे आर स्पीकिंग to try and convince the world about this. Manmohan ji.
Yes, you're right. You know, essentially what the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said was that Pakistan indulged in a heinous act of terrorism in Pahalgam, and when India replied, India pounded their bases, their terrorist bases. Now it is begging and growling before the international community to stop the war. The other important point that Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath made was that the senior army officers are involved in this, in the act of terrorism. What he meant, what he implied was the government of Pakistan, the army of Pakistan is behind terrorism. They are promoting terrorism. They were behind the Pahalgam attack, and the proof of it lies in the fact that when the funeral of those killed in Pakistan was being held, the terrorists who were killed by the Indian army attack, when the funeral was being held, the army officers were present. Their coffins were draped in the Pakistani flag. The senior army officers were present at the funeral procession. So that is proof enough that several Pakistani army officers were involved. The army is promoting terrorism camps, and now it has to answer the international community.
Well, thanks indeed, Manmohan, for that update and putting that development into context. Expect more of those sound bites. Today is Maharana Rana Pratap's anniversary, so you're going to hear a lot more very interestingly woven in narratives. We're going to take a very short break, viewers. We're right back. Don't go away.
Brought to you by
line of control. This is in the Digwar sector of Punj. The Indian Army is retaliating effectively and very, very strongly. But from the Pakistani guns, there has been damage to civilian areas, and Punj has borne quite the brunt of it. between 7th, 8th and 9th. Tejinder Sodhi joins us with more. Yes, Tejinder.
Anand, you see, Pakistan has been continuously targeting the civilian population, and this time they are using the Chinese-made SH-15 self-propelled howitzer guns, which are made by China's Norinco, and they are being used by the Pakistan Army to target the civilian population. These guns they, have an extended range, so they are being used to target the civilian population in Poonch, in Uri, and in other parts of Jammu and Kashmir along the line of control. Though the Indian Army is giving a befitting response to Pakistan, but there has been civilian casualties. One woman has lost her life in Uri, 3 others have been injured in Poonch. 1 civilian has been killed in the Pakistani aggression. So Pakistan continues to violate the ceasefire along the line of control. There was another incident of cross-border firing in the Samba sector, wherein the border security force foiled a major infiltration bid from across the border. Several terrorists who were attempting to infiltrate into the Indian side, they were also eliminated by the border security force. So the situation along the entire stretch of line of control in Jammu and Kashmir remains tense. There has been several incidents of ceasefire violation in the Karna-Keran sector of Kupwara district, but yes, the Indian Army is paying in an equal caliber to Pakistan. The retaliation is on. There has been firing going on in several locations in Poonch, Rajouri right now as we speak. In Digwar sector, Pakistan once again targeted the civilian population, but the Indian Army is right now responding in an equitable manner to the Pakistani aggression. Yes, Anand.
Well, thank you for that update, Tejinder. Stay safe. There has been a lot of pounding that Jammu region also and Jammu city has endured, and but it's all been thwarted. It's been thwarted by our defense systems and our mechanism. Lieutenant Colonel Atul Holkar is with us. Geopolitical expert is joining us. We also have Group Captain MJ Augustine Vinod with us at this point, and we will also be joined by Major General Indra Balan, Kargil war veteran and also currently military technology advisor. We'll go across to all of them, but let's just quickly understand what are the non-kinetic offensives that Bharat is already undertaking. The tap is on, so the dams are opening. We'll get you those pictures also. That's fresh trouble, which the Pakistanis don't seem to have accounted for with the Indus Water Treaty being put in abeyance. But along with that, there is a financial offensive. Now, this is the financial offensive. New Delhi has put in motion a plan to isolate Pakistan globally and not just at the UN Security Council. Now, India could take this fight to the International Monetary Fund, and whose bailouts are key to bring keep Pakistan afloat. There is $1 billion release that is scheduled on the 9th, that is today, and Pakistan is going to have that meeting. So there is going to be a meeting in a short while from now at 9:30, where Bharat is going to very aggressively tell the IMF, look where your money is going, look what they are doing, and don't give them any more money. Don't do this. The other part is the FATF blacklisting. The FATF blacklisting, Pakistan, let's try and understand this. In the last 5 years, Pakistan has received several IMF bailouts and doles. A $6 billion loan under the extended fund facility was given to Pakistan in 2019. A $3 billion standby arrangement was agreed upon in 2023 when Pakistan had emerged out of the FATF grey list in 2022. Now, the political crisis compounded with an economic downturn and drove this nation into a debt burden to terminal levels. Now, last year, a $6 billion loan was approved in September, and just last month the IMF reached an agreement with Pakistan on a new $1.3 billion loan program and reviewed an existing bailout. Now, if approved, this would unlock an additional $1 billion for Pakistan in funding. The FATF grey listing will stop any of this funding to be
Well, viewers, let me just quickly give you an update. Punjab in focus this morning. Air raid sirens have been sounded in Ambala, Panchkula, Chandigarh, and we are being told that there are also search operations on in Pathankot. So the police there conducting search operations. Anshul joins us for more on this. What's happening? Why are search operations being conducted in Pathankot? Anshul, is there a fear of infiltrators?
that
Anshul, can you hear me?
has happened,
Yeah.
has
Go
happened in Pathankot. I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are these inputs that infiltrators could have entered through the international border inside Pathankot, and that is the reason why since late last night the search operations are being conducted. What sources within the two suspects at this point in time, and they are being interrogated. But yes, it is suspected that there could be more people who could have infiltrated inside the borders, and that is the reason why now search operations are being conducted across Pathankot, specifically at locations which are densely in forest or near to farms. All these locations near the borders are now being searched by the Pathankot police. But yes, the big piece of news that we are picking up by the way of sources in Pathankot is that at least 2 people have been rounded up by the Pathankot police. The Pathankot police says that they appear to be suspects, and hence the initial interrogation with them has started.
Well, viewers, there's always this concern that Pakistan is going to resort to other means, being without morals and, of course, led by a desperate general there. Viewers, they're going to try and bend the law to try and strike inside India. There was an infiltration attempt. We reported that was thwarted yesterday. Various agents that were being sent across, could have even been Pakistani regulars dressed in civil clothes, were eliminated. Indian Air Defence Forces have also been on the job, patrolling the highways, the airways rather, and ensuring that no projectile comes through and damages military assets. What we are now being told that some were intercepted over Jaisalmer, which also was in the eye of the storm last night. Loud explosions were heard, but we also know that some live ammunition might have been recovered from there. Let's go across to Bhavani, who's reporting when the drones were intercepted and the aftermath on the ground.
पाकिस्तान को मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जा रहा है, तैयारी पूरी है। और जिस तरीके से पाकिस्तान कायराना हमले कर रहा, हरकतें कर रहा, उसको देखते हुए बॉर्डर इलाकों में राजस्थान के अंदर खासतौर पर कड़ी सुरक्षा के साथ में कंप्लीट ब्लैकआउट किया गया। रात 9 बजे से इस वक्त मैं जैसलमेर में हूँ। जैसलमेर की तस्वीर देखिए कि इस वक्त आपको सोनार फोर्ट के सामने लेकिन नजर नहीं आएगा, पूरे शहर के अंदर ब्लैकआउट कर दिया गया इस वक्त। और अब ये सुबह 4 बजे तक रहेगा। सिर्फ जैसलमेर ही नहीं, बाड़मेर, बीकानेर, श्रीगंगानगर, फलोदी और जोधपुर के अंदर भी ब्लैकआउट रहेगा, जिससे कि करने की हिम्मत नहीं कर पाए। और इसके अलावा खास तौर पर आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से, ये देखिए कि यहाँ जो जिस तरीके से नजर आ रहे हैं, यहाँ पर ये जैसलमेर के आसमान में आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से, शायद ये ड्रोन हो सकते हैं। आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से, क्या ये जैसलमेर में आप देखिए कि किस तरीके से यहाँ पर लगता है शायद ड्रोन है, ये ड्रोन अटैक की कोशिश है, ऐसा लग रहा है, कहीं न कहीं लग रहा है। जिस तरीके से धमाके हो रहे हैं यहाँ पर, ये तस्वीरें अपने आप में न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया के कैमरे से देखिएगा आप किस तरीके से लगातार एक के बाद।
Well, those were pictures from last night, but Bhavani now joins us live to give us an update on what the situation is there on the ground this morning. Bhavani ji, हमने आपको देखा कल रात को, आप एकदम वहाँ पर एकदम विजिल दे रहे थे एक किस्म से। आज सुबह क्या सूरत हाल है वहाँ पर?
देखिए, रात की तस्वीरें जिस तरीके से हमने दिखाई थी कि जिस वक्त मैं लाइव कर रहा था उसी वक्त हमारे कैमरे में कैद हुई, सबसे पहले हम लोगों ने दिखाई थी वो तस्वीरें। अभी इस वक्त आप देखिए कि अभी सूचना मिली थी कि जैसलमेर के एक इलाके के अंदर बॉम्ब गिरा है। मैं उसी स्पॉट पर हूँ। ये बॉम्ब जिंदा है या नहीं है, अभी बॉम्ब स्क्वाड आने वाली है, ये हम यहाँ से तस्वीरें बता रहे हैं। पूरा इलाका कॉर्डन ऑफ कर दिया गया है यहाँ से। और ये जो सामने नजर आ रही है तस्वीर देखिए कि इसके बारे में कहा गया, जो आसपास वक्त के लोग हैं वो कह रहे हैं बॉम्ब है, रात को 9 बजे गिरा और जिंदा है। उनका कहना है कि फटा नहीं है। अभी यहाँ बॉम्ब स्क्वाड की टीम पहुँचने वाली है, तब पूरी तस्वीर साफ होगी कि क्या ये जिंदा बॉम्ब है जो गाँव वाले कह रहे हैं। आप बताएं, आप देखिए। अच्छा, आप देखिए कि अभी जो सामने लोग हैं उनसे बात करते हैं कि आप बताएं सर, देखा आपने गिरते कब, कितनी बजे गिरा था ये बॉम्ब?
8:30 बजे गिरा साहब।
किस तरीके से कैसे आ रहा?
बाजू सुशाल बाजू साहब, सुशाल बाजू में डर गया, खिरे नंगे आ गई, मैं हमारे घर में पड़ गया दौड़।
ये जिंदा है या फिर नहीं है?
हमें वो जिंदो है कि नहीं है वो तो।
जिस टाइम गिरा उस टाइम धमाका हुआ?
धमाका नहीं हुआ,
रेता उड़ा है, चरंगारी उड़ी है, बहादुर नहीं। और ये बाहर है तो अंदर कितना होगा? अंदर काफी बड़ा है। साइज कितनी बड़ी थी आपको?
साइज तो हम देखे नहीं, रात को
मुंह जो है खाली बपीड़ो बाजू में तो महीने बढ़ गया अंदर, घुस गया घर में।
डर लग रहा है रात से?
डर क्या लगा साहब?
पुलिस को कहा रात को आपने सूचना?
ना रात सरपंच ने साहब कराया, मैं पुलिस ने नहीं पड़ा।
गांव साहब को सवेरे को सूचना दी थी,
रात को नहीं दी आपने?
कौन और सब
चाहिए बड़ी कुछ भी अनहोनी हो सकती,
फोन वगैरह सब बंद कर दिए।
अभी आ रही है
रात का पुलिस आएगा नहीं, गड़बड़ है, रात की पुलिस आएगी,
लाइटें वगैरह सब बंद कर, सब डर गए थे,
आया नहीं, पुलिस आया नहीं,
गाड़ी थी, गाड़ी पे इतना सब चूक गया।
तो आप तस्वीरों में देखिए कि जो इन लोगों का कहना है, जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, वो ये कह रहे हैं कि दो चीजें। एक, रात को 8:30 से 9 बजे का वाकया है। 9 बजे ये कह रहे हैं कि आसमान से इन्होंने चमकती हुई गिरते हुए देखा यहाँ पर, जिसका क्लेम किया जा रहा है कि ये बॉम्ब है, और कहा जा रहा है जिंदा है या नहीं है वो अभी, क्योंकि बॉम्ब स्क्वाड की टीम आएगी और अभी थोड़ी देर बाद में आने वाली, वो देखेगी, और जब इसको लिया जाएगा तब पता लगेगा जमीन के अंदर कितना। क्योंकि 3 देखो संभावनाएं 2 और भी बनती है, क्योंकि रात को जब हम दिखा रहे थे जैसलमेर के आसमान में, तब ड्रोन एक कतार के अंदर ड्रोन आ रहे थे और ड्रोन को शूट किया जा रहा था इंटरसेप्ट करके। तो ड्रोन है या नहीं है, लेकिन ड्रोन के नहीं, क्योंकि ड्रोन के टुकड़े पहले हम बता चुके हैं। हमने जब गिरते हुए देखा, पुलिस को सूचना भी दी थी। अब दूसरी संभावना है कि क्या ये मिसाइल के हो सकते हैं, कि लेकिन मिसाइल की भी संभावना कम है, लेकिन अब कहा नहीं जा सकता कि क्या बॉम्ब ही है और क्या जिंदा है। जी
थैंक यू। आप अपना ध्यान रखिए, अपना ख्याल रखिए। Thank you very much, Bhavani ji. Let me very quickly go across to General Pandey for his assessment. General Pandey, overnight assessment, clearly an attempt by Pakistan to try and target not only military installations, as we were together last night till about 1 in the morning, but also clearly are been targeting civilians. And that is really, really, really cowardly of them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely cowardly. But before I come on to the analysis, I'll recommend that somewhere in your channel we must keep on espousing to people that there will be, these are bomblets, right? There'll be explosives, there'll be live, there'll be partially live. In their energy to go and touch them, they should avoid all these things. And somewhere I think you repeatedly you need to keep on telling these people that while you may get worried about it, but you must ensure that it's secured. The police and the army should be informed so that they can come out and utilize these, because most of them, especially the one he's showing, is a live thing, is a bomblet which must have fallen off when they were engaged. These drones were engaged in these are munitions, so we need to be careful about it. The 2-3 things I must tell you very clearly, that having found that there are no targets available to hit out at our location when we have taken out the terrorist camps and all, their option was to hit out to the military establishment, which was very clearly blocked by a variety of measures when they went out for hitting our military establishments, especially the Air Force bases and other sites which were on the target. And thereafter, they have shifted the targeting to civilians. Now, there are 2 ways to look at it. And this is how we need to project to the world. Either these are deliberate civilian targeting, and therefore it's a very, very unprofessional army, in which these data to be compiled and put across to the world to showcase that they are not only using terrorists for terrorizing people, but they are using the military forces, the state of military forces also.
I think we should just refer to the army as a terror army. It's a terrorist army. So, it's quite clear.
Correct. Yeah. So it's a terror army actually. The second is, in case it is a mistake, all their shots, including in Nuri, Baramulla, Punj, are falling only in the civilian area and not in the military areas. How is it possible an army which is professional, which is not a terror army, as they want to claim, can shoot off at such large distances, hitting innocent civilians and all? The third facet which comes out, and for this, a message again should go through by repeated to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, right? They don't like you. If they had liked, they would have avoided hitting Kashmiri Muslims. They don't like, oh, by the way, Sikhs, so-called inter alia Khalistani or minority elements. If that be the case, they would not hit you. These are unprofessional people who can hit only on unarmed, unprotected, defenseless people who cannot protect themselves, and that is their aim.
Yes.
And this should come out very, very clearly time and again. The next part is about level of escalation. I think this point Sushant brought out very clearly. The last 3 days event clearly showcased one thing, that they want to leave at an upper edge. And there is a facet which they espouse in the strategic milieu, in the domain, is called notion of victory. These hits will be sold to their population and to the world that we have succeeded. And in case the Indian government lets them off easily at this level, then they will go hammer and tong to all over the world announcing that we succeeded in defeating the Indian efforts. So while our calibrated, professional, measured, proportional responses are to showcase that India is a very, very professional, responsible country, dealing with a rogue nation, we should not give a loose rope.
So let's talk a little bit about the Indian response. But very quickly, I'll come back to you, sir. There's some more updates coming in. We just saw live munitions in Jaisalmer. Now we're getting pictures of armaments that have fallen on fields from Hoshiarpur. Let's go straight across and get an update on that. We're just going to show you some pictures of that. On the one side, we'll show you the live munition that has been recovered from Jaisalmer. On the other side, we'll show you that looks like the part of some sort of a drone missile. I'm not a military expert, viewers, so I can't tell you what it is, but it does look like some sort of an exhausted missile or even a drone, perhaps brought down. Clearly, it's missed its mark because it's lying in a fallow field, doing nothing really. Let's try to bring Anshul into this. Anshul was reporting just a short while back from another place where he was talking about how another big live bomb part had been recovered in a field in Bhatinda. So you have three distinct visuals coming in this morning. All of this was happening last night. There was an attempt, of course, to target Indian army assets and a large number of civilians. Just can't seem to understand, unless you're a terrorist army, which you are perhaps, why would you be going after innocent civilians? Some of them who were going about their lives without any iota of knowledge that they were going to be picked out like this. This is as bad as what you did in Pahalgam, Pakistan. And this is the visual remnant of what they were doing, the misadventures they had undertaken last night. So you have some sort of remnants from Hoshiarpur, you have some from Jaisalmer, you have some from Bhatinda, remnants of their misadventures. If Anshul is there, let me try and bring him in on this. Anshul and Vijay Salaria, what can you tell me about this? What is it that we are seeing on the field?
Ground over here, especially in Pathankot, the spirits of the people is absolutely high. I'll yet again ask my camera person to show you in the visuals, to show our viewers in the visuals, that if at all there is any sort of uncertainty in the minds of any citizen of this country that they are not safe, there could be a danger that could be lingering on them. These visuals that are 25 kilometers away from the Pakistan border speak from themselves. 12 to 13 hours after the cowardly attacks that were done by Pakistan, now the entire district of Pathankot is back on its feet. I'll try and get in a word from a few locals over here as well.
Anshul, I just wanted to cross-check with you. I'm sorry about interrupting you. Before you go to these residents, clearly they're going about their day now. But we're also getting a lot of pictures from Hoshiarpur of some sort of a armament that has been recovered, which looks as if it's just lying in a fallow field. Can you give us a quick update on what this is? I'll also try to bring in General Pandey to perhaps identify this. Yes.
Yes, the experts are on the ground. They're trying to investigate as to what could be the actual make of these debris that has been found on fields this morning. But yes, what locals and local police sources are telling us, that these are debris of the projectiles that were launched from the side of Pakistan. The initial procedure of taking the photographs and getting to know about the whereabouts and finding the markings is underway at this point in time. The locals who had identified identify these debris. They are also being questioned as to what was the first time when they discovered these debris. The locals have to say that they heard loud noises last night, but since there was an absolute blackout that was announced from the side of the government, none of them actually dared to step out, and hence they followed the guidelines that were issued by the government. But since this morning, once they went back to their fields, they found these massive debris, debris of missiles that were intercepted by our air defense systems, which has fallen on the Indian side. And now all this is going to be a very, very crucial piece of evidence for India to eventually expose Pakistan on international level.
Very, very important, because there's a massive diplomatic outreach going on by India. It's also an outreach by Indian diplomats abroad to media channels, giving interviews to try and implicate Pakistan and close the loop there. An air warning has been received from Air Force station of a possible attack. Sirens are being sounded. This is in Ambala, viewers, and a large number of flights. Current situation, Indigo Airlines has put out that all flights to and from Srinagar, Jammu, Amritsar, Leh, Chandigarh, Dharamsala, Bikaner, Jodhpur, Kishangarh and Rajkot are cancelled until midnight, till 10th May 2025. So please check in with your airlines and get an update from them. Don't head to the airport. We're taking a very short break, viewers. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
शॉपिंग में मजा है ना?
Line of control. This is in the Digwar sector of Punj. The Indian Army is retaliating effectively and very, very strongly. But from the Pakistani guns, there has been damage to civilian areas, and Punj has borne quite the brunt of it between 7th, 8th and 9th. Tejinder Sodhi joins us with more. Yes, Tejinder.
Anand, you see, Pakistan has been continuously targeting the civilian population, and this time they are using the Chinese-made SH-15 self-propelled howitzer guns, which are made by China's Norinco, and they are being used by the Pakistan Army to target the civilian population. These guns they, have an extended range, so they are being used to target the civilian population in Punj, in Uri and in other parts of Jammu and Kashmir along the line of control. Though the Indian Army is giving a befitting response to Pakistan, but there has been civilian casualties. One woman has lost her life in Uri, 3 others have been injured. In Punj, 1 civilian has been killed in the Pakistani aggression. So Pakistan continues to violate the ceasefire along the line of control. There was another incident of cross-border firing in the Samba sector, wherein the border security force foiled a major infiltration bid from across the border. Several terrorists who were attempting to infiltrate into the Indian side, they were also eliminated by the border security force. So the situation along the entire stretch of line of control in Jammu and Kashmir remains tense. There has been several incidents of ceasefire violation in the Karna-Keran sector of Kupwara district, but yes, the Indian Army is paying in an equal caliber to Pakistan. The retaliation is on. There has been firing going on in several locations in Punj, Rajouri right now as we speak. In Digwar sector, Pakistan once again targeted the civilian population, but the Indian Army is right now responding in an equitable manner to the Pakistani aggression. Yes, Anand.
Well, thank you for that update, Tejinder. Stay safe. There has been a lot of pounding that Jammu region also and Jammu city has endured, and but it's all been thwarted. It's been thwarted by our defense systems and our mechanism. Lieutenant Colonel Atul Holkar is with us, geopolitical expert.
Viewers, a quick roundup of the news as we begin at 11 in this morning. Viewers, Tri-Service Chiefs meet Rajnath Singh. This is all happening at the South Block. We've been giving you updates on that meeting amid the escalating India-Pakistan tensions. All 3 service chiefs are at the South Block holding a crucial meeting on the developing security situation with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. This is also going to be a briefing really about what Pakistan did or couldn't do, how India responded, and what, of course, happened on the other side of the border in Pakistan. How much has the defense establishment been able to hurt, bleed Pakistan, the terror state that is our neighbor. So all of that will be taken by the Defense Minister, and he will meet the Prime Minister. There will be a briefing. There will also be the NSA who will go and meet the Prime Minister at some point in the day. We're also expecting a briefing from the External Affairs Ministry very soon. That is what I was trying to tell you, viewers, that the Ministry of External Affairs scheduled to hold a news briefing. This would be the third consecutive day they would be holding this briefing. It's become quite the standard practice. The last time briefings such as this on evolving material defense situations took place was back during Kargil in 1999. So we are going back a generation, viewers, 26 years. That hasn't happened in 26 years. Key finance ministry meetings are underway because, viewers, India's renewed pitch seeking Pakistan's grey listing at FATF at the IMF meeting is top of India's mind. We have to choke off any supply of funds to the Pakistanis. We've already choked off their trade. Now we're ensuring that they cannot get any funding, because all the funding that they ever get, viewers, they say they need it for development, but actually it is for the development of terror infrastructure, and we know this to be true because on a number of occasions they have been audited by international agencies, even their lenders, and they have been found short. Pakistan had used their silver tongue to get around the FATF sanctions, get off the grey list. We are now going to try and put them back there, and therefore there has been a massive diplomatic outreach to convince the world that Pakistan is a terror state indistinguishable from the non-state actors on its soil. Fresh ceasefire violations this morning by Pakistan after late last night. Failed strikes. Pakistan has now resorted to ceasefire violations and unprovoked firing. Reports of the same emerged from Poonch, Kupwara. Several civilian areas have been damaged. Major infiltration bid has been also foiled. BSF troops have foiled a major infiltration bid. And I'm just going to show you those pictures of that failed infiltration bid that has also taken place. That's the next headline there. Viewers, you can see there was a desperate attempt by the Pakistani force to try and push through irregulars. We know this is a standard operating procedure of the Pakistanis. They're going to try and breach our defenses using all sorts of subterfuge. Samba district is where they tried it. 7 Jaish terrorists were neutralized by our alert and ever vigilant BSF security forces. Viewers, the next morning, large number of projectiles, their debris being recovered from all along the regions of our borders. Missile-like used weapon was found in Bhatinda, Hoshiarpur. The object appears even larger than a big drum. It is believed to be a part of the missile that was intercepted and destroyed mid-air by the Indian Army. We also know that the Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister is travelling in the Union Territory to visit Rajouri, Poonch that have been affected by Pakistani shelling, mostly directed at civilians. In fact, and he's going to take stock of the situation, speak to the locals, find out how the administration can help them restore their lives. Manoj Sinha, the LG of Jammu and Kashmir, doing pretty much the same. He's going to be visiting Uri sector today, another sector where there has been devastating impact of Pakistani's cowardly shelling on civilians. Obviously, the civilians will require aid, and this will be a stock-taking exercise that he will be conducting so that his administration can be responsive to the needs of the people who are affected there. The army, viewers, has handed Pakistan a befitting reply. You can see that along the LoC, Pakistan posts have been completely obliterated. This is footage that was released by the Indian Army. This is verified footage of the army responding, knocking out a border post of the Pakistani. It is an active border post, so one suspects there have been casualties on the Pakistani side amongst its armed forces personnel. And viewers, as I told you, massive exercise, massive diplomatic outreach happening by the government of India. External Affairs Minister, of course that is not the External Affairs Minister, but we'll correct those visuals. There he is now. You can see him. S. Jai Shankar has dialed India's allies and friends across the world as Pakistan has resorted to these unprovoked acts of cowardice and quite frankly of the kind of guile you only accept from criminals. So all of that is happening. In that delegation you have many other important functionaries who are also trying to pitch in across the globe, giving interviews, etc., to sway public opinion against Pakistan and denote them a terror state. Defense Minister is now meeting DRDO chief at 11:30 a.m. Very, very important. CDS meeting likely after that. That's also very, very important, viewers. The DRDO chief, sources say, is a pre-scheduled and routine meeting, but it will be a stock-taking exercise quite clearly. Akash Sharma here with more details. That's going to happen in about half an hour. Akash, what's on the table?
Right. So while officials are saying that it's a pre-scheduled meeting, it is pretty clear that given the situation, this meeting is quite important, Rahul, and we know that how several indigenous systems are being used by the forces as far as the air defense is concerned. So we are learning, in fact, that this meeting can have things like urgent production or procurement, in the agenda. We are not sure, but definitely this meeting is also important because just last few days back, in fact, few days back, we have seen that how, a laser weapon was in fact used by the DRDO, and in fact was very much indigenous laser weapon, of course, to kill the, the drones and the UAV attacks and destroy these, things. So it was, in fact, it is very much, there in the can be a part of the discussion, in fact, and I have some sort of disturbance, Rahul, so I won't be able. Yes, so basically, since we are moving towards Jammu, Rahul, so there are a lot of obstructions. There are landslides happening. So that's the reason why, there is some sort of disturbance. But then, as far as this DRDO chief meeting is concerned, this is going to be an important one, given the fact that we have these situations where, we will be needing more arsenal, we will be needing, more indigenous platforms to thwart all these attempts and, in fact, the threats that have been coming from Pakistan. Sources say that this is a scheduled meeting, routine meeting, and, it was planned early to all these things happening right now. But then, all eyes are there on this particular meeting. And we are also learning that after that, Rajnath Singh can meet to the Chief of Defence Staff, because as of now, IDS is in command and Chief of Defence Staff will somewhere brief him about, what has happened and what can be the next course of action. Rahul.
Right, of course, very, very important. Just stay on with me, Akash, because we've got more updates coming through as Pakistan begs for money from the world. Government trolls Pakistan for seeking more loans. All of this is also happening. The cyber war is also being launched against Pakistan to shape public perception internationally, global perception against Pakistan. Akash, what can you tell us a little bit about this?
We saw one tweet, and there we saw that how Pakistan was shamelessly, begging for money. Then they claimed that it was, the account was hacked. Right. Then, several other claims came. We know the intention of Pakistan, Rahul. Yes. We know why they are doing it. We know the FATF theory. We know that how the offshoots are working. In fact, why they are not carrying out any sort of attack in their own names. Why groups like TRF, the shadow organization like PAF, are coming. In fact, the Foreign Secretary, yesterday mentioned that how we have provided evidences in the past. And once again, we are going to provide evidences to FATF as well. Absolutely. That how these groups, are working very much on the land of Pakistan.
Absolutely. In fact, viewers, I'm going to be running some clips of interviews that Indian diplomats have been giving to international channels. So we'll just play those out in a few seconds. Lieutenant General Iyer is here with us, former Chief of Staff, Northern Command, Indian Army, of course, and General Nishikant Singh also here with us. Nishikant Singh was a defense expert. Major General Vikas Sharma also here with us. Let's get a few perspectives in from all our experts this morning. We also have with us Wing Commander Sudhakaran Saab, former former IF. Let me just very quickly, General Iyer, come to you straight. First of all, what do you think has been the nature of India's response? Yes, we have been able to thwart Pakistan and its evil designs, but how do you think we've counteracted, if at all?
Thank you, Rahul. Good morning to you and fellow panelists. What happened on the 7th of May, or rather 6th, 7th May, was our response to the horrendous attack at Pahalgam. So that was our way of telling Pakistan that you should stop terrorism. It was a counter-terror kind of an operation, duly planned and executed like I said yesterday, it was an exceptional operation spread across more than 2,000 kilometers, precise hits. Now, what was Pakistan expected to do on that? He will try, as I said, he would have definitely tried to deflect these hits as hits on civilian territory because he does not want to be seen as a state harboring terrorism.
Yes.
Therefore, what Pakistan did immediately after that was trying to paint the picture that, mosques have been hit and, innocents have been killed. It was more of an influence operation which Pakistan went about. Thereafter, it was but natural that a nation which is headed by an armed force is not going to exit at a stage when he's been hit. So what happened the night 7th, 8th and yesterday whole night was possibly Pakistan's effort to try and get some kind of a response before he gets off ramp of this current situation. Now, I must like to put across very clearly that, war has not started yet. We haven't yet fully mobilized. Yesterday on your shows and some of the, media channels went, frenzy about putting boots on ground and, capturing Karachi, etc., etc. They are...
No, I don't think... one second, General. I just want to make it very clear that CNN News 18 did not endorse any of this nonsense.
Exactly.
Neither did we say... No, one second. Neither did we say that we are going to put boots on the ground. So we were very... I'll tell you, there are a large number of channels who even said Karachi port was blasted. They showed visuals. They showed that we had captured people left, right and center. They had said that, we had flattened out. We'd sent our tanks in. All sorts of fake, idiotic news was being peddled. But we kept very clear. In fact, a large number of people, a lot of pressure on anchors to do this, say that, because, it gets people's interests peaked and all that. We resisted it. We've done a fantastic job. So, General, please don't lump us in with all those nonsensical, idiotic channels. Thank you very much. Yes.
You didn't let me finish.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. I just wanted to set the record straight.
I was about to bring out that you were so responsible yesterday, and I was planning to flag a couple of issues before I go further.
Right.
When this news about this F-16 came down and the pilot being captured, I remember very, very, very clearly you were on the air and you said, I will not take up till the time I have very clear, inputs about it. Unfortunately, some of our other media outlets were not following it professionally. I was trying to put a larger point. So what has happened yesterday, by and large, is just a day when both the countries were trying to find a situation which provides a exit route from this current situation. We do not want to escalate, neither does Pakistan. But where the situation is right now, for Pakistan to off-ramp it at this stage would leave its armed forces, which are supposed to be the ones controlling the entire nation as such. It will be a huge loss of credibility for him. So he would like to do some kind of a drama. It could be more in the influence ops, something which he'll not do and try and claim it also.